Greetings, my excellent friends, and welcome to the 15th session of our Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle, City of Dread. With me tonight are all four of our vampires. Hooray. Top left corner, we have sitting outside in a moonlit metropolis where with no people, but you know, it's definitely where he is, and totally not a green screen. Snip as Nulai. Top right corner, back again, we have hypothetical. Wait, no, what you changed it. Halcyon Raptor. The Raptor part is still there. That's what's important. As Flynn.
Hello.
Hannah. Bottom left, we have Blue Moon as Katya, coming at us from an actual indoor location, like a sane person. And bottom right, we have a shadowed figure off to the side. Oh, hello! Ruthie on Fire as Joanne. Things are heating up, to say the least. We are heading towards, I'd call it the final act of this campaign chronicle, but not necessarily the final session. Definitely not. In fact, there's more to come, but we're reaching that climax, so to speak. Though I probably could have put that better. Before we get into the action, allow me to set the scene, remind everybody of what they're watching, as I generally do. Vampire the Masquerade is set in the world of darkness, a world much like our own, but with certain supernatural horrors lurking out there in the night. Vampires, werewolves, ghosts, skeletons in mausoleums. Our four players will step once again into the role of a coterie of vampires, carving out their place in the night. Now, our player coterie works for the Camarilla, a sort of, let's call it a secret vampire government, which operates worldwide in as many cities as possible, although each city's Camarilla operates independently like a feudal court, the leader being the prince, which is a gender-neutral term among the vampires. The prince and their court keep the vampires, or kindred as they call themselves, in line for the sake of survival and for safety. Their number one rule is the Masquerade title drop, keeping hidden from mortals. If the mortals become fully aware of vampire existence, they would no doubt destroy them with their bombs and their guns. Let me just get some music in. Normally have that set up, but I had different and more things to click on today, so I forgot about one click. There it is. Eventually. There it is. Our game is set in a city called Shadeport, which is completely fictional. It could exist in any nation or in none. We have a multicultural group here, and I am a geography dunce and didn't want to have to pretend I knew anything about a real-world city, including the one I live in, so it seemed like the safest choice. I could bullshit whatever I wanted. Recently, our coterie have learned what is perhaps Shadeport's biggest secret, the existence of an ancient vampire sleeping under the city, whose unknowably vast psychic powers allows them to influence and control the citizens as they please, kindred and mortal alike. This creature is purported to be responsible for most, if not all, of the city's turmoil, not directly, but by encouraging people towards more extreme choices, pitting folks against each other through subtle whispers in the mind. Things that you'd have to really, really look for to find evidence of. A cult of worshippers, consisting of a worrying number of Shadeport's powerful kindred, follow this creature, worshipping it as a messiah. This creature, using its cult, abducted the Camarilla prince, Juliet, our coterie's boss, who is supposedly being held in a secret temple underground, likely enough the resting place of this ancient. Our coterie, the prince's allies, have been working towards finding her and freeing her for quite some time. Most recently, they've acquired the research notes of a Nosferatu archaeologist, Marilyn, who was said to be searching for this temple, until she also went missing quite a while before the abduction of the prince. Politically speaking, our coterie are doing alright. They've formed a tentative alliance amongst quite a few of the city's kindred forces, those of whom who have been brought in to the knowledge of what's lurking beneath and are all equally interested in stamping it out. In the prince's absence, they've convinced most of the Camarilla to follow their lead as the prince's representatives. They've smoothed things over with the local anarchs as well. And they have an uneasy common ground with a fellow named Walter Crimson, a shady and completely untrustworthy La Sombra, who is the one who told them about this ancient monster in the first place. Crimson has an ally, a mortal mage. So, mortal is perhaps not the best term for her, but she's not a vampire. Named Celia. A frail old lady who is capable of some scary things, and the only one whose power seems to allow kindred to be able to resist this ancient's mental influence. She was able to create a kind of mind shield around each of our coterie and everyone else that they've chosen to trust with this, that, as far as everyone can tell, prevents the vampire from peeking in. At least that's what they've said to you. And so far, ever since she put it there, you haven't heard quite as much whispering, with the exception of Nulai, who perhaps invited it a little. With their allies, as shaky as some of them may be, the coterie is now looking towards taking down this cult and its master, rescuing their prince, possibly destroying this ancient if they can. Their anarch allies are currently looking around the woods outside the city to find this cult's barracks, the existence of which they learned from the last cult higher-up that they managed to capture and interrogate. And so while they're awaiting news on that front, they themselves looked for another avenue of inquiry where they found these research notes. They were led by the Nosferatu Primogen, who told them about this particular one, Marilyn. Told them to perhaps find her in her haven, her hideaway in the cemetery. Because she likes stereotypes, I guess. They found a cavern under a mausoleum which looked to be this Nosferatu's home. And they found two things. They found a pile of scribbled research notes, and they found a bright, shiny crystal. This bright, shiny crystal, believed now to be placed there by servants of this ancient and this cult, was calling out to Nulai, or rather, something was calling out to Nulai in the voice of Juliet, possibly her, possibly not, telling him to grab this crystal, take hold of it, think real hard. But as they got close to this crystal, it started to psychically assault the rest of the coterie. Katia was knocked down from it, and Nulai began to suspect that maybe this wasn't the best idea in the world. But the coterie, with Celia the mage's assistance, broke this crystal, and nothing happened to Nulai in the end. So we'll start at the outset of a new evening, as one of your number, Flynn, was not with you last night. So you have all of these notes, and they are not exactly the easiest things to parse through. Plus, Nulai was not in the best of states, and emotions were high. So I'll say we'll start at the outset of a new evening, with the idea being that you guys are in your headquarters, and you have this information that you gathered from the Nosferatu's lair spread out on a table, and it is time to talk about the previous night's events, if you will, and also take a look at this pile of crap. Flynn, you are back now. You would have returned to the group, having spent the last night. I think we said you were coordinating the smuggling out of this poor interrogated cultist, because y'all didn't have the heart to kill him, because it turned out that his mind had been completely overtaken by this creature, and Celia was able to purge him of that, so he's kind of not super responsible for his actions, and the best you guys could think to do was to send him across the sea? Wish him well, as far away from the monster as possible? So that's dealt with, and you are once again with your friends. If you would... shall we say that they filled you in on what happened, or would you like to ask them now?
I feel like they would have filled me in. I mean, it's not exactly,
Okay.
something you keep secret.
Do you have any questions or comments for Nulai, or are you happy to just take that at face value?
I'm still not sure how to read New Lie, so I'll take it at face value, but...
Well, it's not a book.
No. Oh, yeah, I'll just take it at face value.
Okay. You have papers in front of you. I don't know how much of y'all would consider yourselves academics, researchy types. To get at a casual glance, it's a lot of like torn papers and just very messy. Many of them are dirty. Perhaps you would need to wipe them down to read what's under. There's a lot of text, and all of that text is written in awful handwriting. Like, it's it's not like person who doesn't know how to hold a pen. It's someone. You ever gotten a handwritten letter from a doctor?
I was going to say that.
It is cursive. It is someone who learned to write very quickly, but there's a lot of cut corners. So like, some letters are barely there. Like if they're doing a T, perhaps half of their T's were never dashed. All of their I's were never dotted. So you'd have to work out the difference between an L and an I. You're to the best of your knowledge, it's in English because, you know, occasionally you can make out some of a word, but there's just a lot of frantically scribbled entries. They look a little bit like diary entries, like insofar as they have numbers at the top, which are equally hurried, but probably constitute dates. But they're a mess. And there's also some maps and diagrams, and when I say that, I don't mean like nicely done up, she used a ruler diagrams. I mean these horribly scribbled little lines here, lines there, that could be a picture of something or could be a map of her underground delving. But there's a lot. You don't just get to read these and instantly know what you're looking at. We'll be doing checks here. So my question is, who is poring over this information? There's lots of random scraps of paper. Everyone could, but if it's not really your speed, perhaps you will step back and let the others. Up to you. What to each of the four of you, I ask, do you bother? First, you will unmute.
New Lie tries.
Joanne, I saw the hand raise. I did not see the mouth. Now it...
Wait, what is... I swear I did unmute. What is happening?
There you are. Kind of. Mostly.
That is maddening. Yes. I would, because I'm pretty sure I actually have some skills that are geared towards this.
Well, you
If
are...
I remember correctly.
You are a graduated student, I believe, so... Gonna be in core. Skills down here.
Yeah, I've got 2 points in academics.
You have 2 points in academics, and there's also...
Science and technology.
There's 3 skills here that you could use as you look through these papers. Now, you know that you've been told that this Nosferatu is an archaeologist, so if you're looking at it through an academics lens, then you are looking to... Well, first of all, you're deciphering the handwriting, but you're specifically looking... more with that vein, you'll be looking to stuff where she's like talking about more scientifically oriented things. If you're looking at it with investigation, that's perhaps a less biased look through. You could find anything there. And if you want to look for occult, that means you're narrowing your focus through these to find weird, crazy shit. Basically, you're looking
for. What about science? How would that apply? Potentially.
There could be arguments made for that. That would be... I'd say academics is more valuable since you're looking through raw text of archaeology-related stuff. But if you had points in science and didn't have points in academics, I would roll that. For you specifically, you have the same dots in both of those, academics, occult, and science. So it doesn't. It's not really a distinction worth making for you because your roll's going to be the same. But I would say there is a definite difference between whether you're looking at it from an occult lens or a more generalized or academic lens.
I would probably give it a run through with academics first and then occult second, just, out of curiosity.
Part of this is luck based. You're going to be just grabbing some papers, and then other people will grab other papers, and then you will you will compare notes based on what happens and what you find. There are far too many papers, and a lot of them are like torn and half written. So you can just do it.
Will you roll for this?
You will grab some, and you will go with academics plus, we'll say, intelligence. And then the others will have theirs at the same time if they're doing it, but we'll start with you because you spoke up first. Well, I think Nulai spoke up audibly first, but you spoke up with your mic muted first, so I'm giving it to you. Your hand moved first. 2 successes for an academics check. Okay, let's see what paper you get, and then I'll tell you what you get from it. I've got to sort of, just for people who find behind the scenes stuff interesting, I have a little table with every paper I came up with, and then you roll, and then you get details based on, it's good, I like it. Alright. Okay. What you're looking at seems to be an account of travels through the sewers, exploring for things that do not necessarily belong there, as in aren't part of the architecture. And you can see in one of the papers that you have, she talks about how she found a suspicious kind of dugout cavern on the side of one of the areas that, as she explored it and went down, she found that it collapsed further in. And as the page starts to tear out and you can't read anymore, she says that she intends to go back there and try to dig it open if she can. But you don't see her results, because the rest of that paper is not with you right now. Not a great amount of info, you only got 2 successes. Alright, Nulai, what are you doing? Are you looking through stuff?
Yeah, this Nula is going more on this more on the skimming nature, because let's face it, Nula doesn't have any of those stats. So this is more of trying to find anything that's easy to read, like easy to comprehend, like something that isn't too mind-boggling, too,
Okay, that would be a general investigation check, which you have nothing in, but it would be with your intelligence, and you got an alright amount of that.
Alright, investigation and intelligence.
Yeah. You're a hungry bugger.
It's in my nature.
Oh my god, you're nearly fraying. You need to eat like today. In fact, if I said if I said we're starting at a new evening, we could probably say that you went to find food before the end of that. Let's resolve that after we've gotten through the papers, because you're gonna have to do a rouse check for today as well, which I didn't start with. I just wanted to do the paper thing first. So we'll jump back and forth through time a bit there. But yeah, y'all that are hungry will probably work out meals the previous night. That's a good point. Anyway, 3 successes, which is the maximum you can get outside of a crit. That's not too bad. Let me find what paper you got. Okay. You find an incredibly obvious one, because that's what you were looking for. Well, it's not actually incredibly obvious, but your brain, the way it works,
it connects the dots.
You figure out what it's saying. It's hard to read again because the handwriting is bad, but you figure out pretty quickly that this page, it doesn't have a date or anything. It is scribbled together. It appears to be the same word over and over and over and over again with no breaks. but you managed to find where it starts. And because you found where it starts, you figure out where it repeats, and so you can kind of get the letters, if it even is a word. It is just repeated over and over again, just like frantically, like stabbed through. Like in some places the paper is like ripped because the pencil is like and the letters are Lerterimas. Lerterimus or Lerterimus or Lerterimus, you don't know. But you just compare all of the broken, terrible, shattered remnants of this word, and you're pretty sure, with about 40 examples, that that is what it's saying.
Are we sure we can trust this? I mean, whoever wrote this clearly went insane.
Are the rest of you finding other pages?
Yeah, I'll give it a look.
Flint? Okay. What?
I'd probably be pretty general about my look, just sort of because I wasn't there. I just leaf through a few.
I'd probably use the skill that I have the most points in, I think, is what you're saying. But yes, investigation. No, it's fair. I would too. All should.
I rolled my occult now as well.
Everyone gets a go, so we'll do Flynn's go now, and then if y'all are looking at a second paper each, then we'll do it in order.
Intelligence is the attribute?
Yes. Two. We can't all be as clever as Nulai.
Nope.
Okay, general look means you might get anything at all, really. Okay, you actually find perhaps the most well put together one. It's written in a fairly decipherable hand, and you're able to actually read it from start to end. It wasn't difficult to read at all. It's dated about a year ago-ish? 9 months, perhaps. And Marilyn is actually talking about arriving in Shadeport for the first time. She writes about, and you could tell, like, straight away, this is a journal entry. She says that she is chasing the rumors that this city holds an importance to Malkavian history. She is coming here to make her big break, basically. This is her, many Nosferatu are interested in secrets, and you've known quite a few in your time whose big goal is to find something that shocks the world, effectively, or shocks the kindred of the world, and she seems to have zeroed in on this place. She says that the trail of a very old Malkavian seems to wind up here. She might find information, items, or just historical relevance of great value to the Malkavian clan, and she is super excited. And there's some pettiness in there where she talks about how some of her colleagues were effectively making fun of her for wanting to go to a place like this, saying, "Oh, but that's the city where vampires go to die. You'll never come back." And there's that, "I'll show them. I will show them." And she seems to be much more put together in that text. Doesn't tell you anything you don't know about the. It's about what you'd expect, but shows you that she wasn't always raving and broken, as in Nulai's letter.
Gotcha.
Anyhow. Does Katia attempt to research?
Well, it's probable that I just about know how to read, I think that's about the end of my applicable skills.
You can leave it to the
I don't-
others, but
I could roll intelligence. I don't know. I don't think I have any skills that would apply.
the check is considered a skill plus an attribute, so you can just you can still choose a lens with which to look at things. It's just that you won't get any dice no matter which lens you pick. So you could say that you're just having a generalized check, or you're looking for academic stuff, or you're looking for occult stuff if you want.
I guess just generalized check.
Okay.
She's a little bit out of her depth here.
Yeah, investigation, intelligence, like anybody else. See if you find anything relevant. Oops. Hang on. Okay. With one success, you find that perhaps the words are not for you. Perhaps the words are for other people. I'm going to look at the pictures. So you decide to look at the pictures, and you've had to deal with maps before in your life, and you can sort of just barely make out a bit of a stylistic choice here. It seems to be maps of what Marilyn found underground and the passageways and such, and you see a point marked out with some writing next to it that is scribbled and not readable to you, but if you guys are sort of, as Nulai did, talking about what each other found, I assume nobody is keeping their discoveries to themselves. Joanne, Flynn?
Nope, sharing.
Yeah. You can cross-reference that with what Joanne said about a cavern. And as Joanne looks at this map that you read, they can, since they were able to read the handwriting a bit better, let you know that what the little marking said basically confirms that was the one that she found. And there is the words red circle.
Okay.
Joanne?
Red circle.
Joanne, you wanted to make another pass looking for occult relevant papers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. I rolled 3 successes.
Oh, you rolled. Okay. Where
Yes.
is that? Further
Just
up.
above Flynn's.
I missed it. That is... Okay. I am a kind GM and won't make you re-roll because I wasn't aware you were doing it at the time. 3 successes
very
is
sweet of
good.
you.
3 successes is quite good. Alright, armed with the knowledge of Red Circle. You keep that in your head as you look through different papers. And at this point, those of you that were able to figure out the handwriting to a degree can start to sift through the irrelevant ones. There's a lot of just little diary entries about ingratiating with the Nosferatu and maintaining some contact with their old colleagues and how much she hates them. And you can also see just like a gradual decline into more frantic, less, more hurried, more frantic, less stable writing as it goes on. But eventually, Joanne, you find an entry in which Marilyn talks about how she has begun to believe that this temple that she's searching for cannot be accessed through regular, direct means. She has been digging in all of the suspicious points that would harbor like a large enough area, unless it is really, really deep, which it very likely is. It's nowhere sensible for anything short of a full crew to dig down and find. But she talks about this circle at the end of this strange cavern that wasn't supposed to be there, that was already dug. as she found it collapsed a little inside, and she cleared away that debris and saw what seems like the end of where that cavern was dug out originally. She found this faded, dusted, red circle, which, to the best of her knowledge, was drawn, put up there via blood. Blood that was enchanted, and thus still visible, still in the ground and the soil. And there were runic symbols all around this circle, and it was quite large. It wasn't, like for one person to stand in, a small group could. Now, she is a Nosferatu, she is not a blood sorcerer. But on this same page, she talks about, cross-referencing with her contacts and getting the impression that perhaps this was for teleportation between it and a very similar-looking circle that, well, she has no proof, but perhaps could lead to where she's looking to go. But she couldn't make it work.
Would Nulai know about this?
It's certainly nothing that Selena has talked about. She would have kept to more basic concepts with the person who wasn't in the clan that she was talking to. But perhaps Selena is someone who could be asked about this kind of magic, yes. But Marilyn was unable to activate it or anything, and it looked... She said that it was all smushed and dusty and old because like the cavern had collapsed on it. It was more the idea of a circle than anything functional, and her plans indicated in this state was that she needs to find another one or find out a way to get someone to make one. There is one last paper worth noting that you guys find as you go through this. It is a completely babbling, punctuationless entry. No like start or end, just shit like he sees, he knows, must push on, must find him, must ask forgiveness, shouldn't have done this, this was wrong, this was a mistake, need to atone, need to throw myself to his mercy, need to atone for what I've done, for daring to presume, just this, I fucked up, I shouldn't have done this, yada 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 yada, all the words you can think of, babbling on in fear. That and the weird one that Nulai found with this word that he does not recognize repeated over and over and over and over again are the two most not problematic, but the two most disturbing ones. The rest are too fragmented and dirty, or they're mundane and they're just about, joining Shadeport and trying to be a regular Nosferatu who totally isn't doing something she shouldn't under the catacombs.
Man, they're spitting straight fire here.
Potentially.
So what's the plan?
I imagine we would talk to Selena, potentially. Maybe, theoretically.
Maybe Celia?
Yeah. And maybe there's like secret knowledge that... Is it Yusuf? I always forget.
Yusuf is the Banu Hakim Primogen. That is the other clan that have some sorceress ability. Generally speaking, blood ritual circles are more of a Tremere thing. I would say that you've picked up enough. Nulai maybe not, but Joanne, in your time with the court, you'd expect. Banu Hakim magic is more of a. They like their poisons and they like their more direct, not necessarily combat based, but they are less like the wizard in a room and more like the fighters who use magic to augment themselves. Sort of thing.
Cool. So, safe to say, Selena and gang.
Remembering that Selena has not yet been brought in on the whole, there's a big monster under the city, we need to put something in your brain so that it can't with you, please trust this little old lady thing. So if you bring her in...
that seems like a perfect time to do that.
That's another one of them. That's another one of those potentially awkward, especially because she's a magic person herself. So that is definitely something you can do. Flynn?
I was going to say it might mean that she understands it better, and
That's true.
Very valid point.
So Selena is definitely an option. Before we get too far ahead of ourselves and do things, let's do that housekeeping that I did not do before we started research stuff. Everyone needs to do a rouse check, but before that, because I skipped us ahead to the start of an evening, I will say anybody who needs to eat can go do that predator roll to see if they, dealt with their problem last night. What's everyone's hunger? Katia is at 1. Joanne is, if you don't mind me just looking quickly, is at 2. Nulai is at 4, and Flynn, it's been extra time for you, so I would say that you probably don't need to roll to see how well you did, because you had the whole night to yourself. I would say that you did take care of feeding.
Okay.
So you would probably be down to 1. Just consider that your skipped a session bonus. But yeah, predator checks for the others to see how well they managed to say. All right, Katia, you wouldn't get anything out of it if you did, and.
I mean, Katia could go and murder someone.
It's true. 1 success.
We did that last time. Prefer to avoid it again if I can.
1 success for you. I mean, yeah, you eat and just you go out on the town to see if you can mug someone in an alley without killing them this time, and you feel like your control is back. You feel better.
Do I heal any? Because I'm still a little bit damaged.
That's true. You could go out eating for the sake of healing. And we would say that...
Do I get my night healing? Or day sleep healing, rather?
You will over the course of that
Sleep
night,
healing.
Yeah. To cut down on the finicky rolling of it all, I would say that you can keep your hunger at 1 and heal up, because I think you just had 1 wound left, Katia?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can keep your hunger at 1 and heal up through... It's not a great roll, but it's also not a failure, and you would have had enough time during the night. So this isn't so much a skill test as it is a do you succeed at all.
Okie doke.
But it depends on your hunger. You didn't have much. Nulai had a lot. You had 4 hunger, which means you would need to successfully convince 2 people to feed in order to get it down to 1. I would say 4 successes is enough for that. Barely. Joanne, was your hunger at 3 or 2? 2. 3 successes is definitely enough to shave that down to 1.
Sweet.
Thing is, though, you still have to all make rouse checks in the morning. But everyone has managed to stabilize themselves. For now. Nulai's back up to 2.
Every time.
Joanne's back up to 2. So the Malkavians are a bit peckish. You can feel that little boil in the blood.
I think I'm still at like 75% failure rate on that.
You have not done well at most of the things you've done in this campaign. Not as in like your decisions, I mean your rolls. Your rolls have been Wheaton-esque. It has been scaring me. You have occasionally managed stuff, but it's who cursed you?
You probably.
Just before the game started, I was like, I need a failure monkey. Let's see.
I'm just providing content for you.
All right. Well,
That's my job.
we won't roleplay out the feedings. You'll know what your predator types are. I'd rather get to the good stuff, and nobody killed anyone, so it's fine. Everyone had the rouse checks, and yeah. So now you could head towards hooking in Celia, but before you head towards making a phone call, Joanne, you receive one instead. It is from Sapphire.
Oh,
I assume you pick up.
okay. Yes.
Sapphire, for any new people watching, there is a tentative Camarilla Anarch alliance in this city, because if they fight each other, the Inquisition will wipe them out. So they're not super good friends, although the Anarchs are pretty good friends with this coterie. You guys have managed to impress them a bit. They're not super good friends with your organization as a whole. But Sapphire, who seems to be a second in command there, rocker chick with the blue hair, is one of the friendlier faces, and seems to like Joanne and for quite a bit at least. Anyway, she calls up. Says, good news and bad news. Which first?
Is she on speakerphone?
Can we start with bad news?
That depends. Joanne, do you put her on speakerphone?
I probably wouldn't think to unless Nulai asked that out loud.
No, wouldn't.
Nope. All right. Just a one-on-one. All right. Well, it's kind of the same news. Maybe I shouldn't have asked it that way. Would you like the news?
Wow, Saf. Yes, give me the news. Oh, let me sit down first. Do I need to sit down?
That, barracks. Is that what he called it? Barracks we're looking into? Place in the woods? Okay, so the chief found it. See, when I hear barracks, I think of a building.
Yes.
Singular.
Oh.
Chief
shit.
found it. We're not sure why it's not showing up on an aerial map, because it should.
Oh, shit.
It's buried in the woods, sure, but this place has some square area. There seem to be 3 or 4 buildings. Most of them look to be large, maybe warehousey types, but it seems like soldier accommodations. They're just stealing people and turning them into fighters. Probably not with entirely mundane means. We can see armed guards patrolling the place, fence all around the area. We think there are some places that we could get through that fence and surprise them, if we're careful. But there's a lot. If we're going to do this,
Okay.
this is going to be an operation, and the boss would like to talk to you about that. We're eager.
Sure. Okay. We may need to call in some favors, make some, situations, but I guess, let's talk to church first. Oh, yeah.
That's
Maybe
good.
an update on the, Gary situation with,
Update on the what situation did you say?
beasties and things. So we shall need to
Excellent.
have a discussion.
In that case, usual spot. Hangs up. And
Yeah.
you assume that she's referring to the crack house, which is not what you think it is, anybody who is new here. It's an Irish pub. Okay, she seems very, very keen on meeting immediately. So if you're going to hook in Selena, do that after you've just conferred with the Anarchs.
Sounds good to me.
Presuming you don't stand them up.
Well, I'm offended.
The voice
Let's
of God
go.
has offended you. Cool. Well, does the rest of the coterie have any objections once Joanne tells them what the conversation was about?
Works for me. The more the merrier.
Okay.
I mean, Flynn's got Joanne's back. She'll follow.
Let's music change. This one, maybe? Okay. Once again, the pub is not bustling. It seems that Flanagan has effectively shut things down for a while since he knows how intense everything is, so the blaring Irish music isn't happening. Instead we have, well, no music at all, but you might hear music in the background, just as... Alright. When you get there, you see a few people. You see Church and Sapphire. Church looking... Sapphire looks a little grim as per her conversation with you, but Church, if anything, looks excited. Not, like, bouncing, but he's got a kind of... There's an anticipation there which, to the best of your knowledge, he looks like a man who thinks he's going to be getting payback. There are some other Anarchs there too, folks that you don't know too well. A lot of the Anarch leaderly types that you did meet at the Elysium have either died or turned out to not be quite so friendly. In the case of Arkady, Katia's sire, so he's not there. But there are a few others who have perhaps assumed those roles. The only Anarch leadership figure that you recognize is a blonde-haired, grinning young fella in a punk sort of outfit, and as you enter, you hear him shout, "All right, skippity-doo, skippity-deeple, let's go kill some fucking people!" As you recall, his official title was the President of the Society of the Sickest of Beats. Church just looks at him and just like raises his hand. Just give us time.
Can we ask for one of those mind shields on those guys?
There's not much to shield.
Church holds his hand up and he simply says, "These people will be forming our team if we go in for an assault. They don't need to know anything more than I've told them, and they're not going to ask questions."
That they're cannon fodder.
The question is, what is the question? See?
Do we want to take care of the barracks first, or do we want to seek out our prince?
Seek out the prince.
The less we have to fight potentially, like, I don't know. On the one hand, you could approach it as a bunch of people controlled by a potentially dangerous creature we don't know the full extent of. Or no. This is terrible. How are we gonna do this?
Sapphire, raise your hand. So, you guys know where she is? If you found this temple? Or you're looking
In
for
theory.
it?
We might have found it, but it's kind of hard to get into. If indeed this does lead to the temple and not somewhere else entirely.
Presumably their army, in a time of crisis, would have a way to access this temple. If you go there first, would you like them to follow you in? Or would you like them to have an unfortunate case of being dead?
Option 2 strikes
That's-
my fancy.
That I was thinking option 2 initially.
Let me tell you more about what we know. It is a fairly open facility with training areas. I saw a running track, I saw obstacle courses. It's kind of like a little boot camp where they must be physically transforming these people that they're taking. What I did not see was anybody at all standing around shooting the shit. I don't know if you people know anything about soldiers, but they tend to shoot the shit when they're not active. That wasn't the case.
So they're all brainwashed already.
Now I hope that we don't have any bleeding hearts here who are going to feel bad about fighting back full force against the guy with the gun just because his head's not where his trigger finger is. If that's what we're going to have, you don't come with us.
This doesn't feel like the kind of situation where we get to be picky about that.
Mm-hmm.
No problem.
At this point, someone else enters, comes in. So, who the fuck are we killing? Mikhail kind of lumbers. He's looking better. He is not looking well. He is still scratches on his face. But his face looks more like a face. It's still Nosferatu, but it looks more like a face. He's got eyes again, both of them, and he's got ears again, kind of. He's definitely made some healing progress overnight, which can happen. Sometimes it can be very slow on one night, and then the following night there's a leap. It very much depends on that vampire's age, the rest that they're getting, and how it works. As you guys know, he had a good roll. So he is seeming... he's steady on his feet, but he does not look 100%, so, you know. But Mikhail has also been invited here, perhaps by church. And they bring him up to speed and considers. So the goal here is what? Scorched earth, destroy them? Church and Sapphire nod, the Anarchs nod. They seem... You get the impression that they have redirected their blame for the losses they took at Elysium towards this group, and attacking this group is very important to them.
Yeah, Flynn's nodding along with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Crush all resistance.
Have fun.
Does that mean Nulai's bailing?
I'm not a fighter.
Suppose that's true.
No, I don't know how you can brainwash someone who's already brainwashed, but I feel like I'm not gonna be contributing a lot. I think I'm just gonna be a burden there.
I dare say you don't know how they're going to react until you try. Church looks at you
I
guys.
have.
Hmm? Okay.
I'll hear you.
Church sort of looks around and says, "We weren't sure who exactly to tab in for this. We'll leave it to your judgment. Do we invite the asshole?
I'm right
I think
here,
we do.
you know.
Church smiles. Not
I actually,
you, Crimson.
I actually
believe
have a
his name is.
suggestion.
Ah,
Let's get Crimson to help us with this. He and however many of his goons, the more muscle power, the better. Celia can go with Nulai and Selena and go through the papers and see if they can figure out that whole situation. Let's make this effective and efficient as far as possible.
Do we
if
really
they
want
accept
to
that, then
oh,
certainly, but we'd have to bring them in.
do
we
really
invite
want
all
to
of these
owe
people
another
here
favor
and-
to them?
Sorry, Nula, you said speaking quietly. Speak louder.
I said, do we really want to owe another favor to them?
I don't understand how we're owing a favor to them. We're paying them back, essentially. On
Looping
this.
them in.
How are we paying them back if we're asking them to help us?
I mean, we have the same goal right now, so...
That's not how Crimson operates, you know that. Crimson
Well,
is always out there seeking for his
I'd
own-
rather be alive to owe a favor than not.
Good thing, but come say it and warn you. You lead, I'll follow. Your Majesty.
Wow.
Technically
No lie.
true.
Would you like a grapefruit with all that piss? My goodness. I do think Celia, Nulai and Selena should work on the stuff papers. Yes.
It would make sense to get them here and to ask them for their input before necessarily well, you can assign Selena as your authority. Celia, you would need to ask.
Right.
Okay.
Since we're looping Crimson in, we might as well, put the whole thing forward.
We can say that you guys put word out to them and they are very interested. Selena isn't necessarily sure what this is about, but she listens to summons from her acting prince and will arrive at the pub before too long passes. It'll take a little while, so if there is things that people have to say, I would say that you would fill that time by Church can get the anarchs who don't necessarily know as much to keep their distance to talk about the more secret important things. As he explains, it's not just the punk guy, but like there's just representatives there for sending some muscle in. He talks about how he would intend to approach from multiple angles and basically just run it as a surprise attack conflict where you guys that are going in would have your position. He does mention that there seems to be a central building, and he did lay eyes on Arcady walking in and out of that building more than once. So if you guys
makes
want to
sense.
be in the heart of things, that would probably be the building that you guys would seek to enter. But you guys would get to choose. You guys could just stay outside and be part of the bloodbath if you want. Or you guys could attempt to let them take care of the main fracas, and you guys aim for the head, which he is happy to coordinate and deal with. As Crimson and Celia and Selena arrive, Selena looking kind of confused about everything, but Crimson is very happy to hear that progress has been made, and is certainly willing to offer a contingent of my people. To be fair, most of them are trained mortals. I don't have a private army. I'm not that incredible. I understand that may come as a shock to you, but I do have my resources, and I can provide some martial assistance in this endeavor. You explain what you've asked of Celia and Selena. Selena still hasn't gotten the full picture, but she hears you would like research assistance, and she says yes. Celia raises an eyebrow. You want to fight the creature's army, and you want me to be far away from it?
Well, your discretion is appreciated.
I don't know anything about blood ritual circles. I have a different school of expertise, shall we say. If there is some kind of magic conveyance that will take you to this temple, perhaps I could work with it if I was in front of it, but I'm not going to find anything out from books. She looks at you very carefully, Katia, at this point. Doesn't seem hardly interested in what Joanna's saying. He's picked his side. Seems fairly obvious to me. So I would have to ask you, are you prepared to kill your sire?
If that's where his journey ends.
She looks at you very carefully. We will see.
I don't know how else his search, where else it could lead him at this point.
She looks like she has thoughts, but she does not share them. And she sort of throws her hands up. She looks to Nulai. Not particularly interested on facing the danger.
Well, not all of us can do everything they want to do in that.
There are limits.
Don't get me wrong. I'm happy to save my own skin whenever I want, but this is more about not wanting to be in the way.
They don't know what they're going to find in there. Oh, whoa.
We've lost a Flynn.
That's who's okay. I can fix that with a click then. If power dropped, okay, Flynn just suddenly falls asleep in the middle of the room now. Flynn will just be quiet for a moment. Hopefully she will return to us. I thought it was you because I was looking at your window, and all of a sudden your window was someone else's face. Like when Flynn drops, you go completely missing from the screen on the regular screen. So I thought you were just being like, I thought that was a power move. I thought you were like, I'm not gonna join for this one. Click, and then just hang up the call, which would be hilarious, but not great. Yeah, Celia sort of looks at you closely. Crimson is, at this point, chatting with Church more about tactical things, which maybe don't necessarily concern the coterie beyond where your group's role is. But, you know, she shakes her head and said,
Oh, can I still say something to Celia?
Of course.
I mean, unless you have some magical powers that can turn me into a one-man army. I mean, I can believe you can do that. If that's what you want.
It is not quite so simple as all of that. A one-man army, no. If you would like to be less likely to be seen,
That sounds... I mean, am I really fighting then?
well, it depends on what your
I
goal
guess.
is. You have talent with convincing people not to do the things that they wish to do. You are concerned that that will be completely ineffectual on these brainwashed individuals?
Something along those lines.
So you're content to simply assume that that will be the case?
Look, we have the closest thing we can call an army here. They're not gonna miss one in New Life.
No, they won't.
I guess you could say this is more of a nihilist approach.
The way I see it, your small contingent is best suited slipping past the main conflict. No offense, and she looks to Joanne.
That's the plan.
You-
There's no way we would stand on in full battle.
You are more willing to fire a weapon than this one, but I would not call you a fighter either.
Nope.
These two perhaps a little more so, but...
Look, if you want me as a part of a strike force, I'll go. I'm just not interested in being a mook in a battalion of other mooks. I know that wouldn't really be the case per se, but in a regular battlefield, it might as well be. I'm not trying to argue that I'm in some sort of position of power here. I'm just essentially right now I'm just the interim prince's assistant. I mean, you could call that a lieutenant. Do they go on the battlefield?
Depends on the caliber of the lieutenant. Do as you like. I wouldn't recommend staying home, though.
Is that a threat?
A recommendation? Celia pulls Church aside and turns away from the four of you. You could yell for her attention again if you like. So our Flynn is having trouble. Power dropped out. The whole system is dead. Batteries drained and generator won't start. Does that mean the house?
It's very hectic. Oh, snap.
"99 days out of 100 being off the grid is awesome. Not tonight." What does that mean? Does that mean like the whack? She can't hear me.
I'm sure she's talking about a power grid and not, avoiding taxes.
Yes. She's not a serial tax dodge, and if she was, she wouldn't confess it on a Twitch stream.
Well,
Presumably,
she
some
didn't.
people
You
are-
did.
She knows that we have cameras on us. Just trying to figure out what to do in this particular circumstance. Okay, so something has broken in their house at midnight. Just asking a few more questions to see if there's any salvation of this, or if well, I mean, Flynn could just.
Who wants to knock her out for torpor?
If y'all are storming the place, then Flynn could literally just, for no sensible reason other than the mechanical of it, be a part of what the other groups are doing and fight with them rather than being on camera. But that depends on if she comes back. Yeah, okay, that's best we can do. Alright.
So the current plan would seem to be we stick together as a group and we go for the jugular, so to speak. Do we get Celia and Selena in a room and just, get them to go through the whole proceedings, and Selena can go through our materials in the meantime?
Right, to let Selena in on what's happening and hope that she's up for everything. Yes,
yeah.
That can be done while Crimson and Church and Sapphire and Flynn, we'll say, are talking about details and setting people up from different entrances, cutting fence, heading in. Pretty much, yeah, it's just an assault, with the coteries' job being to not so much sneak in as slide their way into the main building. Not necessarily just you guys, if you chose to have anyone in particular accompanying. Yusuf hasn't been contacted for this, but he's probably someone who would come along. Sapphire probably mentioned him. Mikhail is there too and says that he is ready to fight. He's not at his best, but he is showing up. Unless you'll tell him not to. Which he may not resist. Which he may or may not resist.
Would we, as the Camarilla, in theory, have, I don't know, access to goons? Could we call up Jacob and be like, yo, do we have a militia on standby somewhere or something? I don't know. Like, where did they source the guards for the Prince's Mansion and stuff
You can call Jacob and ask if he has a standing army. And he's like, well, phew.
Goons? Hired goons?
Jacob is confused and he says, Prince Juliet's household were more servants than fighters, and the vast majority, if not all of them, are dead. You could call in favors with Primogen for their people, but we are a government, not a military. These sorts of things tend not to be required in locations such as this. Crimson has like a team of mercenary mortal types. The Anarchs are mostly bringing in loose bands of Scrapper, Brawler, Kindred, which are smaller than what you're taking on, but then again, a vampire's worth quite a few people. Jacob doesn't really know what to give you, but you gotta. There are a fair number that will be making this attack. You don't necessarily feel terribly outgunned, and the important thing is Church, who has seen this place and scouted it, seems to feel like this is a group that will work. You'll take Selena around and give her some knowledge that she perhaps wishes she wouldn't have. Her eyes go wide. She looks very, very uncomfortable, especially when explained about Celia and what she is and what she can do. She looks at Celia very carefully. Says, I may not know your art, but I am well aware, acutely aware, of what may or may not be placed into my mind. This had better be no more and no less than exactly what you say it is, and I will know if it is not. Celia raises her hands, sort of like, that's right. But after some tense discussion that I won't talk to myself to enact, Selena consents somewhat by the duress of not really knowing how to back out of it, and Celia performs her little head bubble procedure. Okay. Yeah, as I say, if we get Flynn back, then Flynn can join in. If not, then Flynn will probably remain outside or something. She's still coming with you, like the character is coming with you and being a part of this endeavor. You do discuss with the Magely folks about this red circle idea and teleportation, and Selena recognizes this type of art, and she says what this would be two circles that are twins of each other, that will... They are identified such by the specific pattern of runes. So we wouldn't just be able to make one and be like, hey, it leads to the temple. You would need to know the very rune symbols that are written around the circle describe. Technically, those symbols can be anything, so long as both of the circles have the same ones. So what you would need to do is to find out from someone who knows. Perhaps someone with magical ability and a connection to the cult on how to get one of these things going. Celia makes a point that you may wish to speak to Walter about that. I believe he has news regarding someone else whose paths has crossed ours in the past. What was her name again? The Camarilla witch? Not you. To Selena.
Gwendolyn?
I was not part of this, so... You call Crimson over. Ah, yes. We went to Gwen's house. She's gone.
Why does that not surprise me?
Her big, burly, armed, probably complete pushover bouncer-type fellows were gone as well. No idea where she's been. Which is great. It's not actually great. But I did something.
And any chance we're gonna find her at this barracks place?
What you know is that Dr. Hansen...
is to be tempted.
Dr. Hansen, who you did interrogate, said that he never visited the place, that it was not his job to be there, and that the cult definitely operates under a, precisely as much as you need to, not a jot further. So, depends solely on whether Gwendolyn ever has or will have business in that location, as to whether you will find her there, or whether she has vanished into the wind to be found somewhere else. chasing after her is a good idea as far as this figuring out how to make a teleport circle might be. That said, Church and the Anarchs are gearing up. If you decide to chase after Gwendolyn or look in some other direction, they are probably going to embark without you. And that might be fine for some of you. I feel like Katia probably doesn't want to skip this.
Correct.
Yeah, let's go after the barracks and get that sorted out for now.
Okay.
I'm bringing Doggo.
It is before you guys leave that you are flagged down by an individual. It is the blonde-haired shouting kid. And he flags down Nulai, specifically. He points...
Oh, God.
You! Man with the very bad demeanor! Oh,
Yeah?
he of the never smile!
What's up?
I have heard tell. You have the thing with the eyes that you do, where you look at someone and then they do things that they weren't planning to do. You do that, yes?
Yeah.
So do we. We have a plan on how to get inside. Perhaps we can assist you. And perhaps you can assist us in getting the four of you into the building. We would like to help.
What do you guys think?
They start dancing, but there's no music.
What do you guys
As
think?
far as in character goes, you're not convinced, but perhaps. You have no reason to think these guys are anything except complete fuckheads.
Do I overhear this? Am I close enough?
Nulai has made
I've
called
been
the rest of you
trying-
over to be like, hey, He's not explaining what he intends to do, but he says that he can help you get into the building. He has plan.
You guys are the more trusting folks. Do you feel like it this time?
Well, I'm sure he means well.
Yeah. And let's
but
be honest here for a
Princess-
second. When the ones the most unassuming sometimes will surprise you the most. Give them a chance.
It is very simple, but we will explain it to you once we get there for maximum dramatic tension. Just take that at face value. Do any questions to him or to someone who can perhaps speak for him?
I don't think we're gonna get more than that.
Probably not. Okay. Right. So you guys, have a decent amount of authority over who is coming directly with you. So the fellow and his posse of 3 teen punk anarchist looking folks. This guy with spiked mohawk and lots of leather, but piercings, and they're dancing. They're just a dancing punk squad. They will accompany you, and the 4 of you can go with no one else, or you can invite pretty much anyone except for Church, who is in charge, but probably not too many. It's optional. Selena is not intending to go in on fighting here. She has stated that. She would rather not. It's not really her thing. Celia has said that she will be present. She did not explain how, or what she intends to do. Crimson will be guiding his people, and Church will basically be a fucking army general as far as this goes. Mikhail wants to fight as well, but he's happy to be a part of the group, or a group, rather than be in charge of anything, solely because he's still not 100%. If he was, he'd probably just be like, you don't tell me what the fuck to do, I kill.
Where is Sapphire and her daddy in all of this?
Yusuf was not officially called in. Do you call him in?
I think we should.
Okay. He is happy to come along. He is not in charge of an army of Banu Hakim by any means. He's like their representative as clan interests in the Camarilla, so he's not necessarily with people, but he is able to fight, and he is willing. Sapphire
I feel like we probably need one or two more fighters on our team, given that like Katya pretty much bears the brunt of all the fighting always, and I feel that's like it's unfair.
Especially because Flynn can
job.
also, but Flynn has confirmed to us in the chat that she's not able to join. So we will say that Yusuf and Sapphire will go in with you, and
cool.
Flynn won't. Flynn will. Church has asked for some assistance in leading teams, and Flynn's not as much of a fighter as Katya, but definitely knows how, and so she will assist there. And so the three of you will it's not so much sneak in as just slide in while everything else is a mess. Anyway, let's try a music change. Okay. So, Church and the Anarchs have a bunch of vehicles that they have readied up for this. They were, like I said, you were invited to their operation here, and they were very kind enough to let you take the central building. At this point, they probably know that Arcadia is Katya's sire, but Celia's have definitely talked about it, so that's part of it. Also, the fact that Church is a fucking lion and should definitely generally prefer to fight outdoors. So you're probably only getting that amount of respect because of those things. Anyhow, it is coordinated such that there is a specific time in which folks are cutting the fence and slipping in. You guys have been instructed to wait a little bit for the attack to start proper, to then go in so you don't get caught outside in horrible melee. But as this happens, yeah, so the woods sort of end before the fence, obviously, so it's a fairly open area. You guys are at the back of what has been marked down as the head building. It is definitely just an ugly rectangle function, not hastily constructed, but you know, it's just a big block for people to do their jobs in. There's no back entrances. It's mostly just wall, and you guys are to slip around to the left or to the right. You do not, however, get to just run in like that, because there are a few perimeter soldiers with rifles posted in spots. And you can see that from where you guys are largely hidden at the minute. As the time ticks, do you want to... Who's cutting the fence? One of the coterie, or one of your accompanying NPCs? The tools have been given to you. Okay, are you cutting it ahead of time of the signal, or are you cutting it? Are you guys waiting and
I will wait for the
and
signal.
stuff?
That was the plan. I'm sticking to it.
Okay, it's less of a signal and more of a there's a specific time of night. So that goes, and you start to hear noises. You start to hear shooting and roaring, and the noises one would expect as things start up. Now the guards towards your side of things, they alert, but they're not running off and abandoning their position. They are trained as well as brainwashed folks can be. There are 6, and they sort of they move in a little closer to each other, but they are facing the direction you'll be coming from. So as you go to cut this fence, and hand comes out, so grabs your shoulder.
It's very, very important that we do this quickly. They will see when you cut the fence.
So, turns to Nulai. At some point during this journey, he whispered something in Nulai's ear, and I'm just gonna send that to you. That was whispered in your ear. But yeah, he basically just says, cut quick once our thing has started. So, these young folks approach the fence. They beckon for Nulai to join them. Does Nulai join them?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. That's good, because there are 6 of you and there's 6 guards. And as they approach the fence, he shouts, top of his lungs, out to the waiting guards, who immediately train their guns on him. He says, "Hello, soldier man! It is party time, yeah? Hardcore, yeah!" And you don't know where this is coming from, but you start to hear music. And as the music begins, they start to dance. Now, I don't know if Nulai dances or not. That's up to Nulai. But as they dance, each of them begins to you all are standing in a line, and there's a line of...
You can dance if you wanna. Leave your
soldiers.
friends behind.
And they each begin to shout. And they don't have the same accent as the main guy, but they begin to shout, "Dance, dance, dance!" Nulai, you're on the far left.
Dance.
You shout. You're. Are you just shouting that, or are you like focusing on the one that's opposite from you? Essentially, each of them are picking their target and mesmerizing, compelling, dominating a specific guard to dance.
I mean, Nulai is focusing on it, but at the same time he is saying everybody dance, because he's not 100% sure, the instructions unclear.
Yeah,
he's dancing.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not sure. Nulai is not sure whether he should be dancing. He will try. He has bad experiences with dancing.
Yes, he does. You don't have to dance, but you do have to try and get this dude to dance. Okay, that will be a mesmerized roll of manipulate plus dominate. You're not sure if this person is a kindred or a mortal, but it is not an auto succeed. Fucking Christ.
Do I get a bonus for my dance skills? Sorry, a penalty.
Okay, let me describe this. How do I make this crit work real well for you? Okay. So, we'll do it in order. I need to roll for the others.
At least I'm not yelling a racial slur.
That is always a good thing. That's a
Not everybody
reference.
can do that.
That is a reference, and I understand why you said that. But out of context, that is a strange non sequitur. The specific thing that I am referencing with these dancing people is a video game where if you fail, okay, you have to persuade your buttoned-up partner to dance, and if you succeed, he will dance, and it's great. But if you fail, you call him something racist, and it's look. There's the context. It's goddamn it, Snip. Why do you make me bring these things in? see, you Blue Moon knows what I'm talking about and doesn't have a problem. Ruthie has no idea, and like, it's fine. It's well handled.
I'm the one making myself like an asshole.
We are all assholes here. Anyhow, okay. So we have on the outside of the fence 5 dancing punk anarchists and Nulai. And again, are you dancing?
Yes.
Okay. I feel like that has to be
Probably
rolled.
terribly.
I feel like that has to be a performance dex check.
Absolute.
That's got to be it doesn't affect anything. You've already won your mesmerize. I just want to see how well he's doing. So just a performance dex check, please. You are
Where it matters.
doing the robot, and you are. It is awkward as hell because this isn't what everyone else is doing. Everyone is just like, rave dance. And you're just like...
I should have stuck for the Charlie Brown.
You're going like 4 times as slow as the beat, and it's just like, it's weird. But that doesn't matter, because... Alright, so there's 6 dancing people, 5 of whom have rhythm. And on the other side you have 6 soldier guards, each of which has been targeted by one of these dancing men. And the music is blaring, and you don't know how the fuck these guys got the music to happen. It's not feeling like it's coming from like a source. It is coming just in this general area. There is a beat. Some would call it sick. Others would call it underwhelming. You'll have to decide for yourself. Of the 5 other dudes, 2 of them are not quite as mesmerizing as they'd hoped. And so 3 soldiers, just with their rifles slung over their... Yeah, just like... Drop the gun. The guns are like shoulder slings, so they're not on the ground, but they've just started to do this. 2 of the soldiers are still whipping their guns, training them. Well, they're not whipping their guns at their friends, but they're training them on you, and they're looking around like, what the hell? They're off kilter, though. They're off kilter. Then there's your guy, Nulai, with your critical hit mesmerize. This guy, not only does he bust the sickest move that has ever been busted, he has to break dance with it. And so he lets the gun fall, he starts this, and then he just like hits the dirt, spins around, leans a certain way, pulls the trigger on his gun, blast through the skull of his next along mate. In his breakdancing, he manages to fire a bullet. And so the next guard to the left of him, who is one of the ones who didn't dance, just... And at that point, the remaining guard, the guard that isn't dancing, the guard that has still got his gun, hears that discharge, and he is just what the hell is happening now? Turns his gun around to the dude who just shot another guardsman, and he is just shouting at them. What? He's saying words, but I can't think of them right now. They are all tied up, as I assume Katya has taken this moment to start cutting fence. Okay. Y'all aren't gonna be able to get through that fence before this one guard who is capable realizes that he's not getting anything out of his friends and that his friends are all dancing. And he is seeing...
Can I shoot him?
You absolutely can. You're doing nothing. You're standing there watching this thing go on. So he is readying
Great.
his gun and is going to pick one of the 7 people he could shoot at. Or 8, I think. Plus there's Sapphire and Yusuf as well, who are also ready. But we'll start with you because you're a player. Character. You get me. Compose your firearms if you're going to shoot the guy in the head. And you can definitely tell which one's the problem because he's the only one that isn't currently going.
Hopefully that means he's also easier to hit.
He's fine. It's his friends that are dancing. I assume you're not. I assume you're shooting the threatening one. The threatening one. Not one.
That's the one.
Okay. 2 successes will. He is rattled but ready, so I'll roll his side. I'll see which one wins. Okay. You're shooting him in the head. You don't hit him in the head, but you do, with your aim, manage to catch him one. It looks to be sort of a grazing shot over the shoulder. Definitely didn't hurt him much, but he steps back. He's wearing combat armor of a sort, so that was a success, but didn't do much.
Not a rousing one.
You definitely prevented him from shooting back at you guys while Katia is busily cutting this fence. Yusuf, meanwhile, is going to throw a knife at him.
I'm gonna follow up and aim again so that when the knife lands, maybe I can land a shot as well and just, finish him. If necessary.
Could do. See how Yusuf does. Okay, solid strike from Yusuf there. Knife goes straight into his torso, seems to pierce through the armor. It is that sickly, curved, kind of jeweled dagger that he used on Jacob that one time to pin him to the chair. Well, might not be the same one. He seems to have a trove of them, but it's that same kind of one.
In other words, knife goes in, cuts them out.
That's what Yusuf's throwing skills are all about. Yes. The other 4 are too busy dancing to notice that there has been a problem. You want to shoot back at this guy? I mean, he's taking a shot at you at this point as well. He's hurt, but...
I definitely want to take it.
We're not just going to stun lock the fella. So, yeah, compose your firearms again, and you're both effectively shooting at the same time. He might not be shooting at you, though. We'll see who he shoots at. That's less good.
Very annoying.
Okay, your bullet just into the distance. It might have whizzed past his head, but it might not have because it's dark. All you know is the bullet that was in your gun isn't anymore, nor is it in the fella you wanted it to be in. Now let's see who he would see. He would see the 6 dancing people, and he probably wouldn't shoot them. He would probably shoot the people who were firing things at him. So he is...
Gonna aim at me.
You or Yusuf. I'm going to roll to see which. Technically,
Cool.
Yusuf hurt him more, but you have a gun. Okay. Yep. Bullet hits you in your vampire middle. It is not fun, but also you're not going to have the usual human reactions to that. You will take 2 superficial wounds from it, though. It was not nice. It was
Oh, did you put the wounds in already?
I did, because I've got your sheet there.
Ah, okay. I
I
was just
haven't
gonna
been
say,
able
I'm
to
pretty
wound someone in a
sure.
while.
Ah,
So I wanted
okay.
to press.
That is.
Okay. Anyhow. Katya, there is a hole for people to start getting through now. Will you be first?
Outstanding. Yes, I will.
Excellent.
And if somebody's still shooting at us, then that's who I'm charging.
They're not too far away. What I might have you do is roll Dex Athletics to see if you get at him before he fires at you, or if you take a shot as you close distance, if that's what you're doing.
Works for me.
The rest of you are having issues. Sapphire tosses a knife, but it glances off. They're more knifey people than gun people. They're like you. Sapphire and Yusuf are clamoring to be the next person through the. Okay, 5 successes. Yeah, no luck for him. He's just gonna get slam tackled. Too busy dealing with the multiple threats from multiple directions. He cannot bring his gun up in time to fire at the onrush. Is this a tackle to the ground or an attack with a weapon?
I'll see if I can tackle him.
Okay. That'll be strength roll then, if you're just bulk of you.
Mm-hmm.
Are you grabbing for the gun as well?
I'm basically just trying to knock him out, knock him over.
Yeah. 4 successes on that. He goes down like a damn stone. Yeah, you get him a good one in the head. You've knocked him down. You've got him pinned. And at this stage, no one on the other side of there is actively firing back. So, Joanne, Flynn's not with you anymore. Joanne, Yusuf, Nulai, if you choose to go with them and not just hang out with the dancing people, music's still there. Y'all can get through the fence. While the rest of you are doing that, let's roll again for this conflict between Katya and the soldier to make sure that you put him down. He's not likely.
What's our roll for the getting through?
That is entirely too minutia. I'm not going to make you roll for getting through a hole in a fence. You will. It's just more a matter of it's bogging you guys down a bit to get through it because there's hole enough for one person.
Okay.
So it's mostly just that Katya is going to have to wrestle with this guy a bit longer, and you can't really shoot or back her up while they're grappled together on the ground until you get closer. Even then, still might hit your friend in the
I
head.
could, but I don't want to.
You can fire
She's
a bullet.
friend.
I would recommend against it, but you could. Anyway, yeah, another brawl from Katya to continue this conflict out. Two is less good. Oops. That's the wrong one. 2 is less good. You're still struggling with him at this point. He is not gaining the upper hand on you, but you're not gaining the upper hand on him. Anyway. The dancing is not stopping, and Mulai, you're not very sure what exactly these dudes intend to do with their dancing people. But as the others have started to get through the fence, the dancers now themselves dance under the fence. Somehow they're just sort of one by one. Do you push ahead of them, or are you happy to go last?
Happy to go last.
Okay, Mulai is a patient fella. That's cool. You get the impression that these dancing people are just it's as long as the music lasts, so you don't feel like you need to take your eyes off him necessarily, and you can do that. One last strength roll. And after that, I would say that Joanne and the Banu Hakim are close enough to assist you without risking shooting you. Is that the 3 there?
Mm-hmm.
Got to roll 3, okay. A 4, then a 2, then a 3. That's...
Perfectly average success rate.
That's just so thoroughly uninteresting, isn't it? Okay. Yeah, he ate shit. Alright, at this point you've got him in a position where you can just happily punch away at him. Smack, 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 smack. He is out. He is not necessarily dead because you didn't use your machete, but he is at this point out unconscious, and as Yusuf walks up to him, if you push your way off of him, Yusuf will just calmly pull the knife that he donated out of the fellow's chest and then just use it again, but on the throat. The dancing punks have, at this point, joined the other soldiers and are now dancing with them in a bit of a dance party. Snip's breakdancing fella has moved to a more regular form of dance at this point. They still have their guns kind of attached to them, but the president of the Society of the Sickest Beats says, "You go in, we will keep these people company."
Sounds like a vibe.
What? Nulai?
Could you remind me what are the guards wearing exactly? Like, they have uniforms or stuff.
They are wearing very uninteresting sort of black, what's the word? Kevlar or some such. Like, they got body armor under their under clothes, but they're wearing just like black wool. Fade into the background. It's the same outfits from when they raided Juliet's mansion. It's the skulking in the darkness, don't want to be seen. Like, they got sort of balaclavas on which they can pull over their heads, and they look less like trained soldiers and more like thieves with rifles. But as you brawl with them and approach them, you can see that you can feel that they're armored. It's just that they don't outwardly look too heavily armored.
But like they have a cohesive uniform. They all have the same outfit.
Yes. You wouldn't recognize them as working at Mercenaries Are Us, but you would recognize them as together when they're standing together.
All right. I'd like to disrobe the guy whose head was blown off.
It wasn't an explosive round or a cannon blast. Like, his head is definitely in bad shape, but it's on the body. Still, you would be able to take off and you would be able to use everything except the head piece, helmet, balaclava.
Well, I can take that one from someone else.
You just reach over to one of the dancing dudes. You're just like, whoop! They would let you. They're very intensely focused on what they're doing. Okay, but yeah,
This is part of a masquerade, part of an armor operation.
The rest of you just watch as Nulai strips and changes, and it's a little awkward.
That's no shame.
Sapphire
Sure, we can
giggles.
pause the operation for a clothing change.
I'll quieten this a little now. Yeah, so he takes a few minutes, but it's you are feeling a little safer. There's definitely armor in the center of your body and legs. It's not power armor, and it's definitely can be pierced by melee and bullets if they're hard enough. But you're a little safer, and you look like you belong. But do you take the rifle as well? Strap it over.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the uniform.
Yep.
Just gotta make sure the safety's on.
You are now a Cult of Nathaniel Guard, TM. Congratulations. Yusuf sort of
Working my way up.
shakes his head. Do you Do you intend to head in there alone, or are you to walk in with us and look like a traitor?
I mean, whatever the plan requires.
Hmm.
I mean, it's not like they're gonna shoot me more because of this.
The
That's a
man
good
wants to
point.
play
You know, if
dress
you
up.
kept the weapon,
The man wa-
potentially could take us in as, you know, he caught us. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Now that the fence is dealt with, Yusuf and Sapphire decline to take rifles of their own. They're both just basically. They have similar stances, similar looking weapons. You can tell that he taught her. So they both have the daggers in each hand, and at one point, as you're not necessarily looking at them, you look back and you don't see them anymore, but you know that they're there. They seem to be waiting on you. The dancing folks are literally just still dancing with these men and have, in their way, told you that that's their job. That's what they're doing. They are keeping these guards out of your way. So you can effectively head around either to the left or to the right of this building, looking for the front.
What would be the least obvious way to get to that center building?
The right is probably like it's not. You know, it is towards the, I guess, back of the overall compound, but it is not centered. So I would say that if you head towards the left, you would probably be facing more of the major area with some of the barracks areas, and you can hear lots of bullets firing now and vampire growl noises and lots of which you can only imagine includes blood flying. So if you head around the right, you'll encounter less of that.
I like the sound of that. More cover, more better, yes?
Mm-hmm. I think everybody should roll stealth.
Oh dear.
Stealth plus dex.
Yes, that's it. Nulai.
Nice.
Nulai, you can, as a modifier, add 2 dice to this because
I already rolled.
Oh.
I high rolled.
If you want to keep without the bonus die, the 4 successes, you go right ahead. Or you can just roll 2d6 and add them. 4 for Nulai, 3 for Katya, Eep for Joanne. Well, that's not a crit fail because that is an additional success on top of your 4 successes. All right, you guys creep around. There's really not much cover, as everything has been cleared out. Whatever trees were here has been cleared out. The grass is fairly low, but you try. Between all of you, you figure that you shouldn't hug the wall necessarily, as that might be obvious, or you might run into a window or something. So you head out a ways a bit. You can see that any guards that were guarding this section have been pulled into fights. You can see in the distance. You don't necessarily recognize anyone, but you can see some of. They look like anarchs. They don't look. Like the uniformed soldier types that Crimson brought with him, and you don't see anyone like Mikhail or Church that you'd recognize, but you do hear the lion like growling and roaring off far to the distance, so you know that Church is in a melee somewhere. He is the loudest thing in the field, including the guns. Literally, like louder than he should be. But anyway. But yeah, you managed to heading away from where that building is. It's not full of windows necessarily, but you do see there's a kind of almost like arrow slits. Like not that they would be using bows and arrows, but you see little short slit style holes where someone would perhaps peek out or shoot from, but with maximum cover on them. But you get past around that, and as you head around the front corner, and you can see the doors that would lead into the building. You can see that they are thrown open. And as you get around here, there is some battling going on. You can definitely see some soldier type shooting. They are not facing you where you're coming from, but there's a good 8, 10 crouched down. They seem to have some like sandbag covers set up, and there is a gunfight happening, which you would have to run past to get through those doors and inside. On the other side of that gunfight, you can see these folks look more like Crimson's people, but there's just this little exchange of gunfire going on. You don't necessarily have to get super close to it, but it's just, bullets are whizzing, and you will have to run past, and you are unlikely, but not completely free from the chance of getting hit. So, Dex and Athletics. Thing is, the open nature of that entranceway is such that to duck into the building also means exposing yourself to whatever's on the immediate inside. So, Dex and Athletics if you choose to rush for that. Not if you would like to try or search for any other way.
I shall take the Dex Athletics roll and try to rush in.
Yep, you're not getting shot. Bullets whiz past. You can hear shuffling that you would expect are Yusuf and Sapphire following you. They're taking point on this. Mulai and Joanne, though, you can choose to follow your friends or not. And at the moment, you're just around the corner of this building, kind of out in the open, but with no attention on you at present. There's not a lot of places to go necessarily. You are behind the lines of the mercenaries here in a lot of ways. A lot of your allies have the bad guys between you and them. So it's the main building, or it's out in the open danger, kind of.
Dex Athletics, right?
Yeah.
Oh boy. I have a feeling this is going the same way as the stealth, because we have about as many dice.
Be a good blood search.
That's true. You can take a rouse check in order to add 2 dice to your roll. Technically, you're adding 2 dice to an attribute, but it adds 2 dice to the roll.
That's actually not a terrible idea. How do I do that?
You just add +2 to the modifier, but what you need to do to satisfy that is hit the rouse check button first. Bottom of the screen. Bottom of the sheet.
Alright. Oh, fuck.
Okay, you call upon the blood to quicken you, and as you do, the blood answers back, "Feed me."
Great.
You don't necessarily feel good about that. You back up to 3 now? Were you at 2 before?
Yep.
You are up to 3.
Yeah, I'm on 3 now.
Now it's starting to poke at you a little. But hey, you think about all those folks that are shooting, and you think how cool it would be to sneak up on one of them and just sink your teeth into their neck. You're not so hungry as to forget the fact that they have guns and they have mates, and that would be a terrible idea, but you wish it weren't so, and that you could just walk up to one all by their lonesome and...
Munch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could munch, actually. Really could.
Anyway, as you guys have... I just realized that we're still doing the goddamn dance music.
For nothing! For nothing! Why?
Oh no! We'll find out in a second what that means. Let me just go back to normal music because yeah, as you guys moved out of, it was almost like a circle effect. As you guys moved out of the presence of these dancing fellows, the it stopped. It stopped. Anyway. Cool. Okay, so grateful for the reprieve from the dance music. You feel like you can do anything really. You're like, yeah, no, it's just hail of bullets. It's fine. I'll just run through. And so you sprint, heading for that doorway, following Katya, and you miss the little rock that's along the path as you and faceplant in the dirt, making a shuffling noise. That one of those soldiers that's busily fighting in front of them starts to turn his head.
I guess it's...
Nulai?
Nulai wants to walk in and pretend that he knocked down to Joanne.
Okay, so at this point, Katya, who is the only one visible of the three that made it, has disappeared through the doors. Joanne falls down. This dude turns his head to see another of his compatriots calmly walking up. You're holding your gun at Joanne?
Yeah, and like kneeling down and kind of somewhat gently, but still like a little aggressive looking grab on the hair, like just like gentle touch.
Just roll.
Like, you know.
Just roll performance and manipulation.
And I'll like just put my hands.
Performance and manipulation. A good run for you.
I'm re-rolling.
You're re-rolling. Oh, willpower re-roll. Jesus. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so your 2 hunger dice were successes, so you're re-rolling 3 normals. That's true. 5 successes. Yeah. This guy turns, sees what's going on, just nods, goes back to shooting. You do not catch a bullet, but you feel that the eyes of this soldier is no longer on you, and the two of you can pick yourselves up and head inside. Before they get inside, though, Katya, you've entered the building. You can see that there's. It's not a reception, like there's not a reception desk or anything, but you're in sort of just a little smaller entrance way, and you're not necessarily seeing anyone immediately, but there aren't a lot of ways to go. There's a corridor down the left, and there is another path ahead of you. I would presume that you'll go together or not at all. So you would effectively be picking a path and taking it. Mm-hmm. Left door ahead.
I don't suppose that I hear the sound of voices anywhere in the building over the sound of gunfire.
You can listen out for that. Do you have anything vampiric that can aid you? Also, interesting question for the gunfight. Did you bring your dog?
I was planning to, but it didn't come up at all through the prior scenes, so we're just gonna say I didn't.
I mean, Pasha could have joined and been, like, not... The fact that I didn't think to ask, technically you should remember, but, you know, we all forgot together. We can say that, because Pasha is low to the ground, you know, he's a big dog, but he's still a dog.
I think you did actually say right early on that you'd bring the dog.
Okay, so Pasha is with you, but Pasha knows that the flying metal bits aren't really for him to tackle, so he is
Those are bad.
very
Don't
alert
catch.
and
My instructions would be, watch our back. Just let me know if anyone sneaks up on us.
yeah.
Help the younger one if he needs help.
You can talk to him now, and he, as you learned, I think shortly before the Elysium, and yeah, the only real thoughts you've got from Pasha were a simple,
Why are they moving like that? Are they sick?
Yes, that's exactly what's happening.
that was to the dancing.
They've caught the dancing plague.
I see. I will not touch them.
Good policy.
Okay, so Pasha is in there with you, and because of that, rather than necessarily having you roll, Pasha does a low, like not like kind of like a whisper woof, for everyone, and seems to be pointing in a specific direction, and you can, like, if you query that in the telepathic bond, he says,
I can smell them this way. I smell no one down the other way.
Alright, follow the nose.
indeed. He's not leading the way, but he tells you where to go, and then he follows it. He heals and follows in line. You guys turn a corner, and then down the corridor there's just a main set of double doors, and you can see a little circle window in the door set, and it looks, from a distance, you can kind of see something maybe kitchen-y, cafeteria, but it looks like a big room. It's far away, but these doors open out into a large chamber. So you're just seeing, like, because you're not standing in front of the window and being like, hi. You're seeing perhaps like a little kitchen cafeteria off to the side, so using your deductive reasoning, you can assume that perhaps this is a large room full of tables and chairs and a place, like a mess hall cafeteria where they would eat. And he says, and Pasha reckons that it smells like people in there.
People are what we're here for.
Yusuf and Sapphire are both not visible, but they whisper to you that it's up to you guys whether you want them to, like... Somebody would have to open the door for them, and then they would be able to slip in without being seen. But the door has to open some way, or else whoever opens it will be visible.
I'm comfortable being the first one through the door.
Okay. Slamming it open? What is the approach? Bold-faced, I'm here, or using the door as cover and opening it a little and poking out?
Bold-faced, I'm here. And if they're paying attention to me, that makes it easier for other people to slip in behind me.
What are you wielding necessarily at this point? Melee or
Friend
gun?
a machete.
Yeah, I got the machete. Okay. Well, you might have a run ahead of you depending on what you see. Okay. You
Can I activate Silence of Death?
That does not turn you invisible, but it stops you from making any noise whatsoever, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I've been pretty clumsy thus far. I feel like if I can avoid falling through doors, landing on glass, breaking, just unnecessary attraction.
That is a free power because it's level 1. Effectively, yeah, any sound you make until you turn this off can't be heard. So you can't talk to anyone without deactivating this.
That's
Would be
fine.
useful when sneaking in.
Yeah. If you had that active when you tripped over, that would have completely eliminated any chance of... Well, I guess you still could have taken a bullet, but that was very unlikely. That would be like critical fail sort of thing. It was more of a check to see if they hear you or something happens. Anyway, yeah. So you slide the door open and you take in what you see. They appear to have the group that is in here They have heard the commotion, and so they have flipped tables and created a cover position. You can see 3 of the armored folks looking very similar to the guards with rifles. You also see 2 that do not have rifles but are still sort of wearing the outfit a little. Their heads are clean though, and you can see mouths open, fangs, stance, bestial. They are not. They're behind. They are sort of half behind the table. They're not bunkered, but like they look more like rushers. So there's 3 mortal-looking folks, 2 vampire-looking folks, and 1 last-looking folk who is similar to the vampire-looking folks, but it is Arcady, and he is sitting in a chair, slouched, leaning back.
This is social call.
That depends. Are all your men gonna drop their weapons?
No. He is raising a hand, and you can tell it's like a halt signal. He's basically, he's not telling his gun guys to fire.
I don't know if I can reach you at all, but someone's in your head. And with all of this, what you're doing, what this city is, it's what someone else wants.
Someone's in my head. Theirs, maybe. We've had a few frank discussions. I don't want to do this. I don't want to tell them to do this. I don't want this to be a problem. But you're the one walking into my house. So if weapons are going to be dropped, I'm afraid I'll have to insist it be you.
I'm afraid I can't do that. The last time this creature got bored, the whole city burned. And I won't see it happen again. It's not about you or I. It's bigger than us.
Have you thought that maybe people just didn't listen? Didn't do the right thing? Have you spoken to him? Given him a chance? Or have you just listened to what a bitter old, angry, sad man told you because he didn't get what he wanted?
I talk to people face to face.
Apropos of absolutely nothing at all, while you're having this discussion and you're looking at Arcady, I would like you, Katya, to roll Resolve and Composure. The 2 traits rather than skills. Just a Resolve and Composure. Three successes. It's fine. Nothing comes to your mind that you're not already naturally feeling. Continue. Arcady's eyes at this point are starting to glow a little red. But you've seen that before. You're not sure why he's doing it to you. It's not really a mind affecting thing. It's more of a dark vision thing. He has no reason to be turning that on right now. You don't do it, but it's basically sometimes Gangrel do it to look scary and creepy. It does look that way, but you know better. puts his arms on the chair and he stands up. At this point, you have felt the shuffling of Yusuf and Sapphire enter the room. Joanne and Nulai, did you stay out of sight, or did you like stand with Katia in view?
Nula just followed Joanne.
Didn't catch all of that. Repeat, Joanne.
I would have tried to be sneaky, so like not obvious.
Yeah. It's not terribly easy because they're all eyes trained on the doorway.
Well,
You can attempt to, but if you're heading through the door before all hell breaks loose, they'll notice because they're all staring and no one's currently preoccupied. So if you don't want them to see you, you will probably stay behind, around the corner of Katia with Nulai and the dog, and wait for a better moment.
yeah, I might do that. Are Sapphire and them with us, or have they snuck into the room?
Well, you can't see them, but Katia felt the shuffle past to indicate that they're in there and they have intentions. So yeah, you guys are back and forth, and there does not seem to be any sort of result until you are interrupted by the two vampire-looking folks with the claws. Suddenly, they shift, and they are both beset at the same instant. You don't know how they coordinated this, but Yusuf and Sapphire are on them, knives out. They say hello with a stab, and then they pull that knife out, and they are effectively brawling with these two from this point on. Arcady shouts fire, and the three guys behind the cover are all going to shoot at you because you are there and you are obvious. Pretty much, you're not going to be able to like answer this via an attack of your own. So this is just a straight out dodge check. Athletics and dex to react to the shout and duck out of the way of the bullets coming. One check. The better you do, the fewer you'll get hit by. This is basically 3 rifle bursts.
Okay, athletics dex.
Yeah. Three successes. Okay, most of those shots go wide of you, but a few do thunder into you. You will take 2 superficial wounds because it's still a good 3 or 4 bullets. They're not hitting you in horribly important places, but you also don't have many of those. The head's the real... the head and the neck is where you don't want to get hit. Organ-wise, everything's atrophied, and you are a creature of blood. I do not see Joanne in Scream, so Joanne, if she's gonna run in, does not do so yet, but you now have the option to charge either at the guys with guns behind cover, or at Arcady, who is out in the open, or at one of the 2 vampires that are currently getting in a melee scuffle with Yusuf and Sapphire, but that would be a mess.
What if we all ran in with Pasha and just like charged at the rifleman?
Well, Katia will get first move because Katia's in the doorway, and once Katia's out of the doorway, the rest of you can come in if you want.
Okay. That would be my plan.
But who is Katia going for?
I'm going right for Arcady. Blades out. I want to engage him in close combat so that if his friends decide to shoot at me, they have a good chance of hitting him as well.
Okay. Composure and resolve again. Two successes. There's a flash of anger as you do this. As you charge at him, you are where perhaps previously there was, I guess, pity, disappointment, a kind of your heart goes out to him. You're a lot more annoyed that he's done this if you were already that way, then you're still that way. If you weren't, it's a this miserable idiot bastard. Why couldn't he listen? Why does he do this shit to me? So you're charging with anger here, not with calmness and reason. Anyway, so yeah, you're to tackle to machete. What's the plan once you reach him?
Well, I went in thinking, okay, the dream was the rehearsal. Let's try to do it the same way and literally disarm, but it sounds like I'm not 100% reasonable. So we're gonna swing for maximum hurtability.
You have full control of choice here. It's just there is a trend toward anger rather than, like, you're not in berserker mode, but you could make a tactical strike if you wanted. But if you want to play it that way and go for a general hit, that would be,
I think so.
Yeah, that would be strength melee. He does not attempt to necessarily do anything to you as you close the distance. What he is doing is claws extending with the feral weapons claws that you've seen him do. He's always more of a hands-on guy than a weapons guy. All right.
Lower than the average.
Yeah, 2 successes there. You haven't taken any. Right? No, you took a bullet hit, but you healed to full.
I did get shot a couple times.
Okay. You come at him, machete swung. Swing right where his middle would be, and he just with a irritatingly quick speed ducks out of the way, and then you can feel those claws swipe at your side. You only take 1 point. But it is aggravated. It is nasty. It is rip. It's not a terrible wound, it was a scratch, but it sears, it burns. It is just like it is harder than you've been hit in a while. So that's, I marked it on your sheet, but that's a double hit, so it's an X. Take that from one of your full spots, not from one of your half spots. So he gets in a quick hit on you as he ducks to your side, but you're alright. The way is open now for... Is Joanne here? Cool. Would you like to do anything? Nulai, you're around the corner from this, and things are going badly, and it is perhaps not what you're good at, but there are 3 soldier-looking types behind a table, trained on the doorway that you'd have to look into, but those are the only ones that aren't currently being occupied by an angry vampire. Perhaps Joanne will move in first, now that Joanne is here.
I was kind of hoping to follow in behind, like, either Pasha or Nulai, because I'm not great with, like, first strikes, so if they have all of their focus and attention on me, I'm probably not going to land anything damaging, so I kind of want to capitalize on chaos as far as possible, and maybe shoot someone that isn't currently writhing around with a companion.
Using the door as sort of like cover, you could like peek around and fire shots towards the 3 riflemen.
Cool.
You pick one.
That is what I would like to try.
Okay, you have 2 choices here. You can either duck out really quickly to minimize your chance of getting shot back at and shoot, but not with a lot of aim, or you can duck out, aim, shoot, but they might shoot you back.
I'm gonna go with shoot from cover carefully with possible risk.
Okay, so aim and risk getting shot at.
Yeah.
Compose your firearms as always for the shot check, and this will be an opposed one. As once they see a head pop out through that door, they will fire too. You have 5 dice. It's a decent amount of dice. It's not incredible compared to Katia's 7 melee, but like, you know, it's just 2. It's just 2 less. But the dice just don't like you.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Nula remembered the option before, but I will remind you that you can always willpower reroll. Up to, in this case, you can only reroll 1, because 3 of them are hunger die, you can't reroll those. So it might not necessarily feel worth it to burn a willpower to reroll that 1 failed normal dice, but it is an option you can have at any time.
It doesn't feel like a good choice now. I've
Okay.
still got 6 bullets in the chamber, so, you know, we'll take it one step at a time.
You poke your head out, aim carefully, shoot. Okay, I'll call that a tie. I will say that you do successfully shoot a guy. You don't kill him, but it makes an impact just as rifle fire comes your way, and one of them does clip you on your way back into the cover. So you will take a 3rd point of superficial there. Which leaves you a little bit ailing, but remember the way it works is you can lose all of your health to superficial and still be kicking. It's then that they start upgrading to aggravated.
Don't like that.
And once you are full of aggravated wounds, you are asleep. To put it politely. Does Pasha run in at this point, or is Pasha more likely to wait until there are no longer rifles trained at the door?
I think he'd not charge into gunfire if he doesn't have to.
He has the option of dashing into their enclosure and actually being a combat dog, but I would say that he would follow what you would prefer for him to do. If you wait for him, if you wanted to bide his time, he will. Right now the question is finding a way to get someone on those 3 guys, because each of you are occupied with a scary vamp. Well, each of the 3 fighters. Nulai, do you intend to do anything, or is this not in your wheelhouse?
Nula has armor. Maybe not the plot kind of armor, but the typical type of armor. How would these 3 guards be positioned exactly? Like, compared to each other? Like, are they next to each other?
Yeah, they have flipped over tables. I wouldn't say that they're all, like, buddy-buddy side by side. It's, one of them would be off to the left side of the door, one would be off to the right, and then a 3rd one would be also on the left, so he might be on the other side of a fairly big flipped-over table, but they're not... If they were to reach their arms out, they wouldn't touch. So there's 2 guards. When I say the left side, I'd be like from your perspective of looking in. There's 2 guards covering under a left table and 1 guard covering under a right table, sort of diagonally to where you're in, and then the 3 vampire types are further back where they've been run into. They're not at a huge range. It's a large room, but it's still room.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out like whether they're like within grappling, lunging distance of each other.
Yeah, Joanne would have shot one of the ones on the left, I will say. You could tell you the 2 that are behind the same table, like, they're not going to be able to attack each other without getting up and moving, but they're close enough to each other that you could attempt to disable them both by having one of them go for the other.
Yeah. I think, dominating one of the 2 would be what we're planning to do. Did you say these guys are the mortal-looking ones?
These guys look very much identical to the guards that you faced outside, who certainly seemed mortal. It's based on how based on Katia's assessment when she
Alright.
brawled with one.
Yeah, in that case, I would say for mesmerizing with the command being something along the lines of grapple the other guy, like grapple the guard next to you.
Okay, as before, I will have you roll
On
for
your
that,
right, on
as
your
they
left
do
also.
have some resistance. You poke your head out and just shout at this dude to do that. I'll say that the shouting is enough time for the one for the other one to take a pop at you. Given you didn't do this at exactly the
Do I
same
need to
time as
rouse
Joanne.
check for it? I think I need to rouse check for this.
For mesmerize, yes.
Bada bing, bada boom. Every time.
Well, it wasn't a rousing success. Hunger 3 or Hunger 4?
Hunger 3.
Good. Okay. Roll your... Do you have it listed? The mesmerize?
Manipulation and discipline.
Yeah. Holy shit!
I could willpower re-roll my 2 zeros.
Those
but
are successes. Those are
honestly,
successes.
I just want to see this play out.
Zeros are successes. That's
Yeah,
the
I know,
Wherever
but,
my dice
if I
have
want
gone,
if I want to avoid the messy critical.
Ah, that's true. I
But-
know.
I
I
picked
do
up
wanna
my
see this
dice,
play out.
clearly.
This is where all the crits were hiding all night.
Okay,
That one single roll.
as part of this, because this is a messy critical, I am going to change what you say, because you are having a power trip. That is the penalty of this messy critical. Now, you feel the beast inside you as you activate this power just takes hold. It grabs you by the throat, and you want to see some blood. You want to see some guts. You want to see a show. These people have been dragging you around. You didn't want to go here. You didn't want to get involved in a gunfight. You didn't want to be in this assault on the barracks, but they just kept asking, and so you came along because you felt like you had no other choice. Like, where are you in all this? This is ridiculous. All right, well, look, if I can't take that out on anyone around me because they're all bloody vampires and they'll probably kill me or something, I'm going to take it out on these miserable pricks. So, your head darts into the doorway. You lock eyes with the fella
I'm imagining like the
Behind.
scene from Friends, you know, on the Thanksgiving where they're poking their heads through the door, and Joey is like trying to apologize, and he's like bulging his eyes out, like we're very sorry.
Yes, except you've got a smile on your face and a look of bloodlust in your eyes as you shout at
And probably a little less sorry.
one of the guards that's behind the table with the other guy. You catch eyes with him and you shout in this dark, evil, gravelly voice. You say, "Tear your friend's head off!" Which he does. He, or no, not tear off, more like rip his head off. So the point is he uses what he has at hand. He turns, he does not grapple, he does not leap over. He turns around to his mate and he just ventilates him with rifle fire as the other guy has no idea what to expect, and the dude across is the one that was busy with Joanne. So I will just... I feel like with the messy critical, I'll set up, yeah, with the range and that. Yeah, no, it just blows him to shreds. Just like full burst of fire, short range. A lot of them go wild, but he is just taken down by a fair number of burst bullets, and this dude just bloody puddle on the floor. And you see that blood, and that blood calls to you. You don't necessarily have to run on out into the open, but when you get into that room, you will want to lick that puddle of blood up. You may not. You're not necessarily going to have to be forced to do that, but the thought will be playing in your mind. It is something you would like to do. Not something I'm saying you must, but whatever remorse you might feel for this guy in your sane mind isn't there right now. You're just like, yeah, that's what I wanted to see. He fucking deserved that. Problem is, the dude who shot him is not now tied up in a grapple. Instead, he's mostly free, but he's, as his mind comes back to him, he's like, he is not currently heading back towards shooting someone. He is in shock at what he's done. At that point, with feeling as though it is safe to do so, presuming that you don't command him not to, Pasha is going to duck into the room. And he is carefully, with his quick little dog dash abilities, is going to get as close to that last gun guy as possible. Not open into challenging gunfire, but more, Joanne was getting his attention. He was firing back at Joanne. Nulai's dealing with the other two. Pasha's now being like, all right, where's the... Who is the best person for me to maul? But he's not quite
Try to destabilize, disrupt their footing.
Yeah. So he's basically... I do have a sheet for Pasha. I think I rolled him stats and all. Yes. Do you have access to that sheet? You should.
I do.
Do you like the? Let me just put
It's
this
been
on
a while
camera.
since I looked at it. I do like it.
Can I aim? I really can't. Damn it. I can't put it on camera because I can't get it into this corner. Maybe hang on. If I do it like this, move better than that. It's clinky. But yeah, you can look at the information, and so his clan is dog, his generation is dog, his predator type is dog, his ambition is be goodest boy, his desire is head pats, and his sire is technically Katia, even though not in the same sense as the vampires, but Katia is the boss of him.
Not dog.
Katia is master. Alright. This is really weird. So I'm just trying to... Roll20 is behaving very poorly at the minute. I'm trying to move and render this sheet usable. Hang on, let me just... Oh god, now you're doing it. What the fuck? Sorry, every technical difficulty you could ever imagine is occurring to me as I... There we go. I had to close all of the other sheets to make this one work. Alright, yeah, he is basically going to just... And if you were watching him, I would have you tell me exactly what he does, but because you're busy, he is going to leap in for a strength brawl bite on this last gun guy's leg. Now that he's closed the distance and feels like he's probably not going to get shot in the face. So I can do that if you like with his shit. This is the first official Pasha roll, so I'm quite happy to be doing this. Strength brawl. No modifiers. Pasha brawl with 3 successes. Okay,
Good boy.
He tears a chunk out of this soldier's leg, and you see him like he's going, and he is pulled back and under the cover, and you can see his leg kind of moving out. But Joanne and Nulai, well, Nulai, you're busy. Joanne, you catch this. This is still an armed guy, and you feel like you should back that doggo up, because if no one does, he has a gun and he might use it. So,
I'm definitely going to back Pasha up.
Good shit. All right.
For sure.
Cool. The brawls between the Banu Hakim and their vampire targets go on. I'm just going to do a few background rolls to see if anyone's winning. Oof. Okay, Sapphire gets clawed across the face, and you can see anyone who cares to look, the scars You can probably hear her shout. Yusuf fares better. He is stabbing his guy, and they are heading in a groundwards direction. Still to come along. All right, so Katya, first back and forth between yourself and Arkady was not fantastic, as you got clawed quite painfully, but he is now available for another hit from you.
So we're gonna swing away, and so remind me, Blood Surge is what, a rouse check for 2 extra dice?
Yeah, the rouse check happens regardless. The result does not. It's not a fail success thing. It's literally just the cost, and you add 2 extra dice to the attribute, which. Yeah, no, I'd still give it to you. Your strength is 4, so you'd be like strength 6 if it was a strength melee. But I'll still say it works just fine. You just add +2 to the modifier because it's the easiest way to calculate it, and because it's once. It's only once. But yeah, officially it's attribute. All right, you're hungrier.
Oops.
Nom 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 nom. Hunger 2. You should have added the hunger before you rolled, because that changes the way the hunger dice operates. It does not really matter, because it wouldn't have affected... It's mostly just a matter of if you had failed the roll and had a 1. You didn't fail the roll. How the fuck... Oh, right, of course. You got 4 regular successes and the crit. So that is an 8 success melee on... Yeah, okay, you win this round. That's... Alright. Your machete slashes deep into his torso, because he moved to the side of you, and so you whipped around with it, cutting, slashing, like, just across. The blood, like, if this were a human, you would have sliced his belly open and his guts would fall out. Vampires don't work that way. They don't bleed as much. It's more of an incidental, the blood slick on your machete, but they sort of hold it in, kind of just the way the blood sort of works together. But there is a big open hole in him as he... Ah! And looks back up at you holding his stomach now, and he's not able at all to attack you back. That real hurt. That he's a tough bugger, but not as tough as he was a second ago. Okay. Joanne, you now have your next move. The guy that Nulai mesmerized is looking a bit shell-shocked. He doesn't look like he's going to defend himself if you take a shot at him. However, there is Pasha struggling with the third one that was not affected by Nulai at all. So you do have a really good hit on that guy over there, but you also have a doggo.
I'm definitely defending Doggo. Let's just pray to the dice gods, because clearly every dice I've lost, new dice found. So I'd like some of them back, please.
Jesus. You got a double crit fail on your hunger dice, and a third one. But the others succeeded. Thing is, this isn't a contested roll. The guy's not fighting back. Because he's being, he's grappling with a dog. So, I will say that because of the complex nature of the roll, you're not hiding in cover and playing this tactically. Your hunger is interfering with your mind. There are mortals. There are bleeding mortals. And you are walking into the room, not super carefully at this point. There's no one really available to shoot you thanks to Nulai's work, so you're not taking a hit from that, but you are now in the middle of the room. You walk up to get... Because this guy was behind cover a bit, and he fell behind that cover when Pasha got him, so you are heading in to get a point to where you can actually shoot him, and you do fire at him. He does cop a bullet while he's grappling with Pasha there, which will not kill him, but definitely take him down a little bit more. He's the same guy you winged before, so you're doing a job on him. You've fired 4 times now, including outside.
Outside was once, inside is once, so this is my third.
Okay, just keep track of your ammo. We don't. You don't normally have a chance to need to reload, but if you do, I would want that to be done properly.
I have 7 bullets in this particular gun, so this third shot, that would mean there's 4 remaining.
Cool. Okay, that's fine. Just remember that once the 4th shot happens, it'll just be 1 turn to just like, or rough turn because we don't really do initiative here. We just generally when you're fighting someone, they both attack at the same time, and the winner of the roll makes their hit. So that sort of precludes the need for turns.
We have to hope that I don't need to reload at a really critical point for some reason, you know?
Yeah.
As would be my luck.
Okay, Nulai. The shell-shocked guy that has already been mesmerized, is free. There's another one fighting with Pasha. You definitely achieved your job. Any other plans?
Gee, I don't know. I'm not sure if I want to do that again.
You can certainly mesmerize him again, but your hunger might suffer for it.
Well, I mean, there is a puddle of blood nearby. A steady source of sustenance.
You do have a... briefly, like... If you licked up the puddle, it wouldn't really do your hunger, but you could go over to the dead guy and bite him. You could just go drink from him while he's... It's fresh, he just died. You're a consensualist predator type. I honestly don't know, because I'd say there's plenty of consensuals who would not, ever, but Nulai's kind of got a pragmatic mind. I would say that he could probably drink from a dead dude and be like, he was my enemy, I didn't kill him myself. Well...
I think he doesn't oppose is the question here.
I would give you the... Yeah, I would say that you would be allowed to drink from him. You might have a moral sort of dilemma with the violent action you had there. Like, what specifically... he was an enemy, so I will not put a stain on you based on the Chronicles moral codes. You satisfied those just fine. I'm wondering about Nulai.
I feel like this would probably fall more under Nulai's own...
yes.
What's it called? Like, the convictions.
Would you say that Nulai violated it?
Not intentionally. Like, Nulai is pretty much like I will not want to cause harm sort of person. Like, he does not want to cause harm. Whether it happens by pure accident.
I wouldn't really call it an accident. It was an accident for you as a player because you rolled badly, but Nulai yelled out Nulai was overtaken by bloodlust and asked for some and got it.
Yeah. I'd say the beast got the better of him.
I would say that
he
you are...
probably regrets that.
Yeah, I would say that you are stained, and we'll roll a remorse check at the end of the session for that overzealous move. However, in the heat of the moment, you could definitely go drink from the guy if you wanted, or not. You could just lick up the puddle of blood and not that wouldn't be a tactical choice, it'd be more of an impulse choice.
Yeah, so the guy who was shell-shocked is about primed and ready again?
He will be shortly. He's not going to shoot at you if you run in now. Next turn he will be able to shoot people again.
I'd say I want to disarm him.
Okay. Yep.
I'd say I'd probably get close and, like, tase him.
Yes. Okay. That works, kind of. Is there a part of the core book that suggests what would be rolled for a taser? I mean, I usually use my judgment on that. you don't mind me tabbing over to your stats.
No worries.
Well, this depends. I guess the question of whether this is strength or dex depends on whether you wanna, I guess, just walk up, like grab him and just, bzz, or whether you're aiming to, while he's shell shocked, just like sneak in around him and just like get him when he's not looking at you. But you have the same dice in both of those stats, so for flavor, tell me what you're doing, but you're rolling the same amount either way.
Rushing in and quickly tasing.
Well, I suppose. Okay, if you're rushing in blindly, if you're just blundering in, then that's probably brawl or melee. Doesn't matter. You got 0 dice. If you wanted to do something you were better at, though, the sneaky around version, I could even call it a dex stealth check to sneak up on him and tase him while he was dazed. I'd give you that. You got real dice in that.
Sure. Let's do that.
It's less likely to just be sad.
I mean,
I didn't say it was unlikely to be sad. I said it was less likely to be sad. But he is stunned. So basically, let's test his awareness and see if he gets you. Okay. That is a tie, and I think if it's mortal versus vampire, tie goes to the vampire. So, through your mutual incompetence, you you slink in while he's just like, what have I done? And he looks up to see you as you crest in with your stun gun into his neck, because that's the skin you can access. And he does see you. He begins to duck out of the way, and you just keep coming, and so because you got him openly, that is pretty disabling. Yep. If he was a vampire, he might not be out, but I'm pretty sure it's fair enough to say, rather than rolling like for damage and shit, that if you're a mortal human being and you take a taser to the neck, you're probably not okay. I haven't been tased in my time, but yeah. Seems fair enough. Okay, I think the next thing we were doing is the next check.
That's what tasers are designed for.
Of the vampire versus vampire NPC brawls. And okay, Sapphire does better this time. She manages to catch him, or catch her opponent with a few good knives. Yusuf continues his winning streak, though, and he is effectively ending his right now. Anyone who cares to look, which should be none of you, but still for the sake of flavor, he does this wonderful little twist, gets behind the guy, and just... It's not a throat slit, it's like dagger through the neck, and out the front. And then, given it is a vampire, he spins it, and this guy's head just... So Yusuf has won his battle and is now free and will be able to assist others next go around. But Katya.
Another rouse check. This is an intervention, and we're going all out.
Okay. The Hunger Games.
3 hunger. We are attacking again.
Are you intending to disable him and stop, or are you intending to kill him?
I think, well, I would love to disable him and stop, but I think after 2 failed rouse checks and some kind of weird supernatural irritation, at this point I'm kind of just in murder mode.
Okay. Well, if you're blood surging, roll that dice-tastic attack roll again and see what happens to you.
The law of averages strikes again.
Yeah, we'll see how he does. Not too great. Okay, so it's not quite as good of a cut. He pulls away from you as you slice another part of his middle. Now, it's a decent wound. You can smell it. It is vampire blood, but it is not as good as the wonderful one you got on him before. But he doesn't manage to get you back. At this point, he takes a step backwards from you, looking rough and worried. And he looks. He just sort of looks you in the eye and says, "Are you really doing this? Are we really doing this?"
I snarl. Words are not a close acquaintance.
His eyes just go wide at that ferocity in your eyes, and we'll move to others first as we see what happens there. Okay, so Pasha is having another go. By the way, I didn't do Pasha before. It would have been his run. You could roll for Doggo if you like. Brawl and strength on his sheet. I did it before because I was greedy and I wanted the inaugural Pasha roll, but brawl and strength check for dog biting into someone's leg. 3 successes. How does he go? Not as good. The soldier sort of kicks him off of his leg, and Pasha bounds back. He catches himself. He doesn't get too badly. Like he doesn't get shot, but he does get kicked in the face. So he will take 1 superficial, which I'll mark on Pasha's sheet. But he snarls and growls back. And is like, "Oh, you're gonna pay for that," in his little dog ways, which you don't really hear because you're not very together yourself right now. Joanne, the dog has been kicked away from this guy, and you sort of have clear way at him.
I'm going in again.
Just gonna head towards him and just try to cap him off, shoot him in the head while he's focused on the dog.
Yes. And this time I want to do 2 shots in quick succession.
Okay.
How would you like me to roll for that? Just 2 singular rolls.
Roll once, because we'll say that it's 1 attack. You're double tapping it. I will factor that in. Either they both hit or they both miss, but it'll be a little harder to hit because you'll hurt him more.
Oh, thank God.
4 successes. That's not too bad, and he's not doing a lot to get out of your way. So let's roll for him lower. And okay. Because you're going for the double tap, I would say that you get it right. You clip him and you clip him in the head, and he is just brains out on the ground. Pasha woofs triumphantly and decides that he is dignified and well behaved. So as much as he would have liked to do that, he does not have to tear out the dead guy's throat in pettiness.
Yes. Okay. Pasha saved. Huzzah.
Pasha approaches you for a head scratch.
He definitely gets all the head scratches.
Good. There is head scratching in active combat situation. This is fine. Nulai, you've tased your dude.
Of course it's fine. Have you seen Pasha? Please.
Yes.
People. Obviously.
You've tased your dude. You now have a dead guy and an unconscious guy in your area. There are 2.
Drink the dead guy.
Yeah, stunning. The dead guy specifically, not the unconscious guy. All right.
The dead guy.
He's dead. You can't get lowered to 0 hunger without killing. Drinking a dead person doesn't do that, but you can lower your hunger down to 1 through this drink. That'll occupy you for a bit, but you can lower your hunger down to 1 before you let him go.
I'm not busy.
Exactly. Okay. Sapphire will fight hers again. Sapphire takes another claw hit. This one's in the middle. She is pushed back, so they're not completely entangled, but there is now a vampire bearing down on Sapphire. Yusuf is free, however, and his child, not daughter, but wayward child who has opposing political beliefs and disappoints him on a daily basis is being actively threatened. And so you just hear this another feral snarl, this time from Yusuf, as he leaps onto this dude's back with 2 knives and just slices down the guy's back, tearing him open. And this vampire does not have his head cut off, but the sheer brutality of that double strike, he just slumps as Sapphire, with the claw marks on her face and everywhere else. Thanks. Those two have taken care of their parts of the fight. Katya, you're staring at your sire now, who is backed up from you and is looking open, but you know that he's not the type to necessarily freeze up, so as much as it shocked him that your intent, it's not a free hit that you're getting here, but you do get a hit. Blood Surge or no? Jesus. Katya, you're at Hunger 4. You are just looking at this bleeding sire and the thought you are picturing in your head just seizing your throat around his neck and drinking him dry and taking everything that he is and ever was. It's not overwhelming you don't have to do that, but the idea is in your head, that image is there, you are looking at him and seeing him get what he deserves. Perhaps in other times that would scare you to think that, but not right now. Oh no. Okay.
The dice were like,
As
drama.
you go in with the messy critical, your machete drops to the ground as you don't find you need that. You knock him down. The fangs come out, sink straight into his neck, and he screams. He screams your name. He screams why. As your hunger drops by 1. And your hunger drops by 2. The other opponent's combatants have been disabled. Shrinking is not an instant process. You guys are starting to watch this. Does anybody do anything? Of the party, at least.
Hey, at least I don't have to drink alone.
That's true, yeah, you're busy. Joanne, do you just allow that to happen?
I could never. But now the question is how. What's left?
There's no one left
Um.
that is a threat. Katya is currently draining her sire dry on the ground, and you are watching this, and do you do
And
anything?
there's no one else that I need to shoot.
There's no one. Basically, you can see that she is drinking him, looking like she's going to basically just murder him, and you know that that's her sire. You can leave her to her business, or you can intervene in some way if you choose. The Banu Hakim
I'm gonna
don't seem
intervene
to be doing anything.
because
How?
oh,
Powering her, of
that's the
course.
question.
You can shout at her, you can try to pull her off of him. That's about it. Unless you think something.
I feel like if I were to go up and actually she might bite me too. I don't have any compelling things that would work on. Do we have the vampire equivalent of a water spray bottle so I can just be like, gotcha, no.
No.
You didn't bring your holy water spray bottle with you today, just in case?
If you don't have a good
Bad
idea,
gotcha.
if you don't have a good idea, I don't know what to tell you. But she's taken 2 points of hunger down. She has 2 left, and when she loses the last one, he's gone.
Maybe I will throw something at her. I'll be like, gotcha, catch! I don't know, is there furniture, a vase,
You could throw,
anything
you could
close
throw a
by?
cafeteria chair at her.
Yes,
Uh,
let's do
Dog,
that.
rather.
Let's.
And I'll yell while I'm throwing it.
It'd
for
be
good
Dex
measure.
Brawl. Dex Brawl to chuck a chair at her.
God,
Yeah,
not my greatest.
Not at all.
You sure
Couldn't
you
I
wanna do
use
that?
strength brawl?
Fine, fine.
I'm throwing it hard. I'm not necessarily going to throw it well.
Okay, I'll give it to you. No, you're
It's
not.
a big object.
With
you
those
don't need
dice,
to
no,
aim
you're
it.
not.
Exactly.
It has a lot of area. To
How
work
the fuck do you critically fail throwing a chair? Okay. You got a success
with.
though,
Throw the
actually.
chair upwards, and
got-
it falls downwards.
You got a success. I'm not gonna give you a bestial failure because I don't know what the fuck to do with it. Katya, you may
Throw
feel
the chair up.
the slightest background impact of a heavy, clunky chair sort of just against the
I'm
back
also
of you
yelling, by the way.
as you sink in. You may hear in the background shouts and screams of "No, stop, come back." I don't know, whatever Joanne says. It's probably more heartfelt than that, but
No.
No,
Do
stop.
it
No,
Roll.
don't do it.
roll resolve and composure again one time for me. While you're drinking. 3. You're not in a full frenzy, but you're definitely committed to this. However, and it is completely up to you how you interact with this. I'm not influencing you one way or the other. Well, there aren't any influencing effects that I am making you aware of. But Pasha's voice cuts through. Pasha's telepathic symbol, and she says, "Mother, I don't think you want to do this. I don't think this is you. I don't think you'll want this once you've done it."
I think the voice of my dog is correct. I'm going to listen to the voice of my dog and very grudgingly disengage. In sort of a... I would look very dazed right now, I think.
It is pulling at you. That urge. And that feeling again like he deserves it. It's not just that you're hungry. It's what he's... It's the ways in which he has failed you. You just feel this anger at him. But you do pull up. You pull away. And as you do, as he sort of comes to himself, you see his skin begin to change again as he starts to fold and sink and meld into the ground beneath him. And he starts to vanish down. And you can scrabble at that, but he passes through. And you feel a rumbling underneath. You assume it's him making his way, though you're not used to it being a rumbling. And he's underneath you, of course. The ground bursts under you, and you are flung back. Athletics dex to see if you catch yourself or you're just on your ass. One success. Yeah, you're back. You're dazed. You're not really sure what's happening. You're not really able to interact with this situation, but everybody else sees it fairly clearly. The floor cracks open, and a gibbering, bleeding, terrified, flesh-colored vampire floats up. And just hovers. Sapphire and Yusuf are very confused. If anybody does anything, interrupt me. Couple footsteps. Slowly walk in. Katia, you're not really able to look at this, but the rest of you that have your wits about, you see Celia slowly walking in. Her hand is up. A neat little trick you have, Volkov. Which? Which? She doesn't say anything else. She sort of moves her hand. Flicks her hand. And Arkady Volkov bursts into flame. Inside and out. Head down to toe, arms up in a terrifying burst of smoke. You're staring fire in the face. I believe that requires a fear frenzy check. I think that one automates. You have a
frenzy button, I would take it.
Yeah, it would cut through your days, I believe. I don't know why. Yeah, it says you have to set a difficulty, I think. So, on one hand, it's fire and it's in front of you and it's very terrifying. On the other hand, you know where it's coming from and you know the person who's doing it. So I would say it'd be a fairly standard difficulty 3. But anyone who fails this is going to have to basically run from the room. So a frenzy check at difficulty 3 on all of you.
Oh,
So-
I see. It's through the drinking.
Pasha does not need to make one.
Ah, there's the... Okay.
It's because you're a vampire and you're seeing fire.
This is not my shining day for self-control.
Joanne?
There's no difficulty level. Oh wait, you said 2.
You first set the modifier at 0 and then it gives you the difficulty.
Let me do this.
The modifier is 0, and it should ask for difficulty in your top 3. It's the only check. It's something. It's so that it can tell you whether you frenzy or not. I don't really like it. I prefer not to tell you what the difficulty is, but it's
Okay, so difficulty 3.
3. It's a tough one. It's a burst of fire.
Huh.
Jesus, you have a lot of dice for that. What is? God,
How about that?
I can't remember what the specific. Basically, if I don't have to learn the mechanics of it, I won't, because I'm more of a story guy than a rules guy. So the fact that there's a button that does it for me means I don't care. You have a lot of dice for that.
My guess is
Probably your resolve.
probably resolve.
Yeah. Willpower.
Yeah.
Could be willpower.
Resolve it.
Katia has a decent amount. Nulai has buggerol. Anyway, yeah, Nulai and Katia, you guys are terrified. You back up and you basically at this point rush from the cafeteria room. You will rush out of the building and you will probably head around the back of the building before you can catch yourself and return. Joanne, you manage to keep yourself together. Sapphire is the same as Nulai and Katia. She bolts as well, but Yusuf with his knives manages to hold. As Celia is standing there with her hand outstretched, watching this flaming vampire turn to dust. She lowers her hand and she's smiling. Well, it seems like the festivities are mostly over. My apologies. Your colleagues will collect themselves in due time.
Was that necessary? Yes. Does Joanne have anything to say to Celia? I mean, you are spooked. You managed to contain yourself, but you still, like, that was... Fire is one of the scariest things in the world. She just lit him up.
I honestly feel like that was probably the best way for that to end. Like, you don't want it to be on Katya, but I wouldn't have trusted him to escape. You know, that would have been something that would have been like in the back of my mind constantly. So that's a relief.
Does it bother you at all that you're not sure how long she was around? Did she just watch everything happen and not help? Or did she arrive right in the nick of time? Is that suspicious? Or are you just like, oh, this is fine?
I mean, that's what crosses my mind, but either way, what does it benefit to ask those questions? Like, am I going to now be mistrustful of her because she didn't come in to help? So far, she's helped us every time when we needed her to. She's never done more or less than exactly what they said they would do. So I feel like in that sense, she's still very trustworthy.
I don't necessarily know how much Katya has told the rest of the coterie about things, but Celia had a familiarity with Volkov that you may or may not twig as... have they been filled in?
I don't recall going into detail.
Mikhail knows.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so yeah.
Mikhail does know. I definitely told him.
It might strike you as interesting, but if you don't ask her, then she will turn around and walk outside. I would say, with a lack of Flynn, again, unintentional though it was, rather than push things further, I will move towards wrapping up. But you're not necessarily done in this location. The two of you that frenzied, as well as Sapphire, you get around the corner, you're out of breath, you're panting. Your mind comes back to you, Katya, Nulai. So we're just like, fucking fire! That was embarrassing, we should go back in. You don't, you see bodies, but like you don't see, you didn't get attacked or anything on your way around. To shuffle folks along, if you'll head outside, the compound has been secured. You can see a number of your folks gathering up. Church is looking fine. Mikhail doesn't look too bothered. Crimson is completely untouched. You're not sure if he actually fought anybody at all. And you can see in various places, you can see bodies of the opposition, but you can also see here and there an Anarch and some of Crimson's team, and you know, it was an even-keeled fight. But it seems like this area has been neutralized, and there's a fair amount of wounds as well. As Church gathers, he says, alright, everywhere has been searched. Did you guys search that building, or which you'd say no, not really. You encountered them in the one place. Pasha seemed convinced that was where people were. A lot of folks are waved off duty done at this point. Not everybody. Some of Crimson's team are still assuming like sort of guarding positions outside, as the conclusion is come to that a proper sweep of that indoor building would be necessary. So I would like to finish here, and then if we start next session at this point with Flynn and have the group be able to go into that building and see what awaits in there. Obviously you're not bringing an army in to do that. A lot of them are standing guard in the outdoor space, the ones that are sticking around, but yeah. So there is more to come, but I think this is good enough for considering what happened, losing Flynn to a power outage along the way. But yeah, Katya, your mind having come to you, do you talk about it? Have anything to say to Celia at all?
Or do you just, well, that happened. You're feeling unsettled. You don't really like. You cared a lot for that guy, and your mind is clearer now, and you're not sure how you managed to lose control that badly. Doesn't. You're not. I'm not giving you a stain necessarily, but you're upset with yourself again. It is concerning the way she treated him, but you can't really judge her. You're going to do the same.
I would definitely be very unsettled, but that's also not really the type to hash that out in the immediate aftermath of the event in front of everyone else.
The way that she had spoken to you before with regards to her past with you two, again, to refresh the audience, when Celia was a young girl, her parents were vampire hunters, and Katia and her sire were being hunted by those parents, and they won. As in, Katia and her sire won, but the girl got away. And Arcady at the time wanted that girl dead because it was a loose end. And she would have been like 12 or so. And Katia, young, argued against that. And I believe in that argument the girl slipped away. Celia is now an old woman, because this was a long time ago. Katia is not a young vampire. And she has basically intimated that she has learned a lot. She has become a mage. As far as she's concerned, her parents were idiots and picked a fight that they shouldn't have picked. And she's not necessarily holding anything against Katia, but she never really mentioned how she felt about your sire, and you think you have a better idea of how she felt now. You do not know what to make of it with regards to her feelings to you, but there was definite intent. The rest of you would easily think, well, okay, he was our bad guy, she took care of him. You don't think that was it. You think she would have... Do you think she should certainly have been able to paralyze him? She chose not to. She chose to just kill him the worst way she could possibly think of. And she waited.
I would definitely infer deliberate intent and personal satisfaction.
She either waited until she could do that, or she walked in at the right moment. You're not sure. So that's just to give you a good idea as to what Katia would be able to make of that situation for perhaps next time's examination. Alright. The battle is won. Folks are injured, but alive. Nulai.
Hungry.
We'll say that we'll roll the remorse. I can't remember if it's end of the session or end of the evening, but we'll say that you roll the remorse check now. As this moment of calm, you really think about that dude that got blown up because you asked for it. You're not feeling too great about that. It's a hard check to pass with holy fuck. You just critted a remorse check. How do you crit a remorse check? You know what? Not only do I not feel bad about that, but he so deserved it. He was Satan. That was the Antichrist. He was sent here. He's worse than vampires. That dude cheats in online multiplayer. Motherfucking bastard, he deserved every bullet. I feel so good about myself.
I think I deserve more humanity based on that. I'm doing the good thing.
No, you do not get humanity 9 after a murder. But you get to keep your humanity 8, you miserable bastard. I'd like to point out that Flynn lost a... Okay, so the way remorse checks work, the higher your humanity, the harder it is to pass, because you get as many dice as there are gaps in your humanity. So at humanity 8, you get 2 dice. Flynn had humanity 6 at the start of the campaign, and had to roll a remorse check with 4 dice. Failed all of them, lost down to 5 humanity. A remorse check, you only have to hit 1. You succeed once. It doesn't even acknowledge that you crit because it still says success is 2. Technically, you got a success 4 humanity pass. You guiltless bastard. All right. Anyway, well done. Jesus.
Pragmatism works.
I guess. I'm impressed. If anything, as to what that says about your psyche, I don't know. Fare thee well, everybody. Not as... Yeah, I would have gone longer
Then-
and done more, but for Flynn's sake, we're going to hold back. So we might still have 2 sessions left, or we might have one big finale for the story arc. I don't know. But, final thoughts, friends?
This is clearly the start of the New Light the Psychopath arc.
I almost
And
feel
next
like
time-
it would be appropriate for me to roll there, but I don't know that remorse is something you ask for.
It's something you would have had to do if you'd killed him. You didn't.
Makes sense.
You don't necessarily feel responsible for what Celia did. What stain
Hey,
you might
it's
have
fine if
incurred
someone
as you
else
lost
killed him.
yourself, you managed to work through by the simple fact that your dog reasoned with you and you pulled away. You don't like how you became, but you feel as though you managed to hold it.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't need to roll anything. That's yeah. I think that was Pasha's best session yet. I think, just in terms of contribution. All right.
Good
I'll
doggo.
just point out that for all that we were worried about the dog, he has more health than I do,
Yeah, it's true.
even if we're both at max.
Problem is though, he is not a vampire and his damage works differently.
Also very true, yes.
Him taking a kick to the face is superficial. Him taking a bullet is aggravated. You taking a bullet is not.
Oh.
That health is high so that he does not die real quick.
Makes sense.
That said, his health is high because of your fortitude boost. But anyway, yeah, it's an interesting damage tracker because each health point has 2 states. But if nothing else, I will hit this button because I am tired, and I think the rest of us are fairly well. Till next time, try not to eat anybody.